Chase Delauter. Chase going the other way. Deep left field. Rosarina on the run. He's out of room. It's out of here. Delauter with an opposite field home run has done something no Cleveland player has ever done before. He's hit a home run in each of his first 3 regular season games.
This is Cleveland Sports Radio, 92.3 The Fan.
Audio courtesy of Guards TV as well as Apple TV. Hello.
Kenny was a star born this weekend.
I'm not doing it until 6:43. 6:43, we'll address the elephant in the room. All right? I got a lot to get to today. I got a general manager who spoke yesterday about trading away, not trading away one of the greatest players in Browns history. I'm going to get to that here in just a moment.
Freudian slip there by
And
Ken.
I promise you, at 6:43, I will get to the elephant in the room concerning Chase Delauter. I promise. At 6:43, we will get to the elephant because I have been up Friday, Saturday, Sunday, 3 nights getting harassed. Well, not harassed. I mean, after the first night, there was a little bit of harassment, but after that, no one seemed to really be killing me too much over it. But we'll get to why I'm being harassed coming up at 6:43 when it comes to Chase Delauter. Real quick, I was, even when it's 8-0, you get excited that, all right, at least the rookie had one of the 2 hits in the game.
Oh yeah, for sure.
All right, I'm glad we're all on the same
that felt
same
like a home
page.
run. That felt like home run number 5.
It's like, all right, we're gonna have such a bad time hitting. At least maybe the rookie can get one of the hits, and the rookie had one of the hits. I got to tell you, an early season goal because you play, and some people can think that this is stupid too. I do think that your weather pattern affects you a bit when you're a northern team and you've been playing a month of spring training baseball in good weather. And so you go from, I'm guessing, comfortable temperatures. I don't know what it is in Arizona in the early springtime. I imagine it's comfortable instead of boiling ass hot, I'm guessing. So you go from comfortable to warm to maybe hot some days to usually 30-something degrees, 40 degrees, 50 degrees, colder, rainier. You're on the road. If they can just finish the first month 2 games above 500, like that's always going to be my goal. If you could finish the first month, including the end of March through the month of April, if you can just be 2 games over 500, I'm like, all right, we're not in too deep of a hole here. Obviously we have our heads above water. I don't know how the rest of the division stacks up. I'm not really paying attention to the rest of the division right now or during the first month of the season. So I'm just like, all right, keep your head above water for 2 days or for 2 games. And then once the weather starts to turn, I know we've had snow in May before, but once the weather starts to turn in May, okay, let's see where this goes. Because you can't count on it. I'm serious. I hate these guys. They go away for the winter. They play spring ball. They play spring ball in good weather. They play spring training in good weather. Then they come here, and it's usually a mix. Like it's supposed to be 60-something later this week. On Friday, I think it's, a high of 50? I think it is for opening day, or the home opener, quote-unquote. I think you're looking at a high of 50, so my whole goal is just to be 2 games above 500 at the end of the month. Sorry.
Well, and the teams you're playing at the start of the year. I don't even care about the weather.
Obviously, very good.
I'm just talking about going up against Seattle. That's why
another division winner.
Splitting against them, and you didn't even get your normal great starting pitching that we've grown accustomed to here at the start of the year. I'll take a split every single time against that team, knowing too now you got Los Angeles, the Dodgers haven't lost yet, big surprise. So anything you can do to kind of just hang in there in the opening series. They got the Cubs right after that, and the Cubs were a 90-win team last year.
Yes.
So I was thrilled. I know yesterday sucked. Another national TV game, and it was kind of bizarre to start your season the way they did. We talked about how much we hated on Thursday and Friday, just these start times. And then to have, you got to find the streamer, who's got the game.
Did you have
familiar
problems?
voice. Hey, it's Rick Manning. But at the same time, these games are starting late. Can we have just a normal, early start to the season? You like to have a normal game in the middle of the day. You didn't get any of that.
Did you have problems finding it?
No,
by any means?
But I had looked ahead of time, and I have the streamers, so it wasn't a big deal. But I saw a bunch of fans who were annoyed.
At one point, it's like, can someone in the area just please, when this is all settled, or as you're before this is all settled, because once it gets all settled, then you'll find it in one place. Before it gets all settled, can you try to do anything local in one of these cities that have these problems and see what type of rating you get if you just went, here you go, here's Channel 6. Here's channel, like the old WUAB. Here you go, and just see what type of rating it would do to make it easier again, instead of having to look for Peacock all the time, having to look at the higher cable channels for your own TV network and things like that. I know it's not possible, but it's something that you would want. Can I say something real quick? I thought, while some people are a little bit worried about the starting pitching, and you're always going to be a little bit worried at the starting pitch at the beginning of the year because you're a young team, with the exception of a couple of years when you've had a really, 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 really good rotation. I know some people are not overwhelmed with the starting. Can I give Joey Cantillo a little bit of credit? Because I went back and I watched that game on Sunday morning, and I watched it a little bit on Saturday night, and I watched it on Sunday morning. To get out of the fourth, because I thought C.J. Kafis trapped it out in right field. He ended up catching it because the first one went, geez, and then he ended up holding on to it. Can I just give him credit for battling out of the fourth? Giving up a run, keeping your head afloat, and then moving on. If I can just do that, a guy who battled before we get into the nitty-gritty of you-know-who coming up at 6:43, I'd just like to make that abundantly clear. Of the performances that I was impressed by a guy who was able to battle through his outing in his first time out there this season. So I was comfortable with that, happy with that. We'll talk to Matt Derry about that coming up in 8, and obviously, the whole Cade Smith situation, because I need to know how many saves you have to have before you get a really cool entrance, like what happened with Mason Miller earlier this week. All right, so Andrew Berry spoke. 6:43, we'll get to the elephant in the room. Andrew Berry spoke yesterday. It's a big deal. I'm probably going to say something that's going to be even more controversial than what I said on Friday. But here is Andrew Berry yesterday, where he wants to maybe attempt to nip it in the bud. He says Myles Garrett, not just a Brown this year, a career Brown.
So can you state unequivocally that you're not trading Myles Garrett?
I'd say this, Mary Kay. Myles is a career Brown. He is one of the faces of our organization. I think we've been very clear, both past and present, in terms of our feelings on that. So I understand all the questions. I'll be honest, I don't really want to waste a ton more breath on the topic.
Okay. He understands the question.
That sound like a no for you? An easy no. Say no at the beginning.
Called him a career Brown. What more do you want? He called him a career Brown. What more do you want?
I did not hear no in there.
All right. So he spoke. I'm going to say, and this is what's probably going to get me beat up, because I think some people are going to assume I'm sticking my head in the sand. Can you just hear me out before you go attacking me here? Can I just hear me out?
Why would I attack you?
Because you're you. I think it's just time we move on now. I think he's a Cleveland Brown. Excuse me. Not from him. I mean from the conversation. He is a Cleveland Brown until he's no longer a Cleveland Brown. And the reason I say that is because I think it's going to drive fans nuts. Do we really need to go through 3 months of trade speculation here before well, wait a minute. It's almost April. Do we want to go through 4 months of trade speculation?
I thought the trade speculation is going to kick back up after June. That's what I thought, the way people were talking.
Guys, come on. For him, if somebody were to call, you have to, now I'm getting frustrated, you have to entertain the conversation. Everybody knows that. It's his job to entertain the conversation. So if somebody were to call, yeah, you got to pick up the phone and have that conversation with somebody and see if they're willing to offer you something ridiculous for Myles Garrett. But at the same time, you're looking at a person who would be signing his own death warrant as a general manager in the NFL. If he trades that guy during this offseason, it is over. It is over. And I don't understand why we expect him to be traded. I know so many people have what they believe is the best option possible. And I'm not saying you're stupid. I'm not necessarily even shooting it down. I'm not pointing that out. I'm not trying to be disrespectful towards those.
You can't possibly shoot it down after what we heard yesterday.
You can't shoot it down. Well, no. I don't think you can shoot it down no matter what he said yesterday. I'm not shooting it down. But I'm telling you, it's going to drive you nuts. It's going to drive me nuts. It's going to drive us all nuts if we continue to go through this every other day when it comes to the league meetings, OTAs, draft talk, all that stuff. There will be times where it heats up again. When the draft comes here in a month, or the draft comes to the calendar in a month, these conversations will heat up again. I'm not trying to be I'm not trying to be ignorant towards the situation here, but I'm saying, if we don't just move on and accept him as a Cleveland Brown, guys, you're gonna be pulling your hair out here. It's gonna be a frustrating amount of time. So he said what he said. If somebody calls, fine, but I don't think they're shopping Myles Garrett. If you think they're shopping Myles Garrett, then I guess we have to have ourselves a knockdown dragout.
Is there a difference? I mean,
yes, there is.
We all
yes,
know. We all know
is.
the teams that are going to be looking to go after Myles. It's not like it's going to be some big mystery about teams that are trying to, add the best pass rusher and best defensive player in football. Mm-hmm. We know you have Philadelphia. Yesterday there were videos and pictures at the owners' meetings of Andrew Berry and Howie Roseman having very long conversations. Like, where do you think people are going to go with that? So whether they're shopping him,
he's not allowed to talk to a friend he used to work for.
Sure.
He's not allowed to have a conversation with a friend he used to work for.
Sure. And John Dorsey and who was the guy from the Giants were
Dave Gettleman
sitting right next to each other, and you could have said the same thing. Oh, they're not allowed to talk at the and then they made a trade.
And I probably did say the same thing back then. They're allowed to talk, but
who knows how this works? They have to talk.
So they're going to stand out there.
They can't do a trade without talking, Ken.
So they're going to stand out there and pound out the negotiations for a Myles Garrett trade in front of God and everybody. You think that's how this works? Please.
We're sure that wasn't Andrew Berry's twin brother who works for the Eagles.
You're right.
Could have been Adam Berry. Exactly the point.
I've joked about that before, that they could play a lot of pranks, 1980s/90s sitcom pranks on a lot of different teams.
Who are the guys from Weekend at Bernie's? That always seemed to be like their hijinks in the 80s. They had a very strong run there. But you don't guys, I'm trying to save us all a lot of time and trouble.
Well, that's not for you to do. That's not your job.
Yes, it is.
Your job is not to act like none of this is happening out there.
I'm not acting like none of it's happening.
Obviously, since the day Myles Garrett asked for a trade, well, the week or the month or whatever it was that he asked for a trade, and the fact that, even signing the contract, people thought the door was still open, and then they revised the contract, and no one has a real reason, and then Andrew Berry had every chance in the world to just shoot it down immediately, and did not do that, did not take the opportunity to do that, and nobody can figure out why he would have done this maneuvering when it doesn't seem to really, according to the experts that look at this stuff consistently 24/7, they can't find a real reason other than to keep the flexibility if they trade him.
I know that there's a need for extra draft picks for a lot of people. However, Andrew Berry was asked this question yesterday, where he was asked, why don't you need to move on from Myles Garrett?
We'll always do what we think is in the best interest of the organization. We really like our core. I think as we look at the team, we have an elite young defense, rebuilt offensive line. We have, 9 picks this upcoming draft. We have a good offensive young core that we brought in last year.
That's Andrew Berry. Okay? Guys, you just hired a new head coach. You torpedo the season if you trade away Myles Garrett. And then you might torpedo his reign as the head coach of the Cleveland Browns. I mean, for all the craziness that we've had to deal with here over the last, there's so much about it that doesn't make sense. I can't say it's a done deal, but yes, I do think that there's a difference. I'm not trying to be silly here. I do think there's a difference between shopping a player and just being open to conversation, which you're always open to conversation. But I don't believe they have intentions to trade Myles Garrett just because of what they had done over the last week. I don't think that is their main goal, is to trade that man. If somebody calls,
I don't think it's the goal either.
To speculate about it, it's just going to make everybody feel horrific.
But it's not
throughout the summer.
It's not our job to make people feel good. That's never been my job. I don't think it's your job either. And it's obviously one of the big off-season conversations that have been had on every national show.
But we're not a national show.
So we're supposed to lie to the people?
I'm not lying to them.
Kenny, what did we say when they changed that? We're acting like Friday didn't occur. You said Friday, they might trade him. And I asked you point blank, would you be shocked if they traded him? And you said no.
But no, I wouldn't be. But what is the entire point of bringing it up every single damn day?
I didn't bring it up today. You brought it up.
So this wasn't an agreed upon thing to talk about the possibility of him moving on from Myles Garrett. That was the bulk of the press conference yesterday.
We have even worse press conference materials for people when it comes to the quarterback situation. So we can move on to that one.
But
unless you want to coddle our fans and listeners and make sure they don't hear things they don't want to hear, Like, are we supposed to ignore that conversation too?
Guys, am I just saving you a lot of time and trouble and energy and frustration if I say, couldn't we just move on now? Can't we just take his word for it as it is right now and move on? Or am I trying to coddle you and pat everybody's ass? Is that what I'm trying to do? Because I'm thinking, guys, you're gonna drive yourself crazy if we sit here and continuously have these conversations throughout the summertime. 216-474-0092. Should we just move on now? I got his answer. His answer isn't going to change. I say we move on. Fine. You want to fight me on it? Away we go on a Monday morning. Ken Carman, Tone Master General, 643. The elephant in the room named Chase Delauter. He's sitting over there, and he must be addressed on the fan. Window.
to confidential support 24 hours a day in Cuyahoga County. You're not alone. 988 can help. Sponsored by the Adams Board.
The fight for playoff positioning is on in the Eastern Conference as Donovan Mitchell, James Harden, and the Cavs look to get real healthy for a postseason run. We are your home for the best Cavs talk in Cleveland. 92.3 The Fan.
So here is, well, I'll tell you this, 643, I know a lot of people want me to address it. 643, I'll address the elephant in the room that is Chase Delauter, okay? That is a promise. However, I can only take somebody's word for it at surface level when a guy like Andrew Berry says this.
Miles is a career Brown. He is one of the faces of our organization. I think we've been very clear, both past and present, in terms of our feelings on that. So I understand all the questions. I'll be honest, I don't really want to waste a ton more breath on the topic.
Thank you. Thank you. He's never going to say never. He's never going to say never. So you guys can ask him all the questions you want. And I don't understand this Dick Tracy type of thing of, oh my gosh, does he really mean it? Does he really? Pretty hot under these lights, Andrew Berry? Like, guys, if he gets traded, he gets traded. But he's not going to tell you he's going to trade. He's not going to shop the guy. He's not openly shopping the guy. Yes, they're going to leave some flexible options. Yes, Miles might get upset this year and ask for a trade. We all know that that's a possibility too. Like, there's so many different things that can happen. But
technically, do we know if he's done that behind the scenes?
Right now, I think we know. Wouldn't we know?
Would we?
Why wouldn't we know?
Maybe he's after the last situation. Maybe there's been, some I don't know if you call it growth or whatever, but he's not going to do anything to screw the franchise because he doesn't want to put him in a spot. Remember, he still wants to go somewhere where he would want to go, right? He doesn't want to just go to anybody, and he has a no trade clause, to boot. But maybe it's amicable. I don't know.
Well, if you decide to move on, it will be something that's amicable. Because he can't really, he's got a no trade clause, but it's not like he can hold it over to you. You don't really want to hold it over to him. You're going to make a decision. If you're making this decision and going forward with it, you're making it for the betterment of your franchise long term, is what you're trying to do. But what I'm pointing out to everybody.
Right, so you just admit it. They could be doing something that could actually work out for the franchise. That's the whole point of any of this. I don't know. My takeaway after all this was, look, they clearly did something to the contract. It doesn't really benefit them salary cap wise. What it does, it benefits them. If they decide to trade him, they're leaving the door open for a trade. He never said no during any of it.
Well, they can move money around regardless. So, yes, it does benefit them with the salary cap. It does. They move that money around regardless. Do they not? That's what I read from Jack Duffin.
Every single person I read on this said this was creating flexibility for if they trade him, that it doesn't screw them. So they hadn't done that in the past. They could have done that in the past. They chose not to. They did it this time. They were bad again. Obviously, part of this whole thing of him not getting traded and signing the contract was, him signing off on the plan, right?
Uh-huh.
Well, since then, what's been their record? What have they done?
It's been bad.
And they're expected to be bad again this year.
Uh-huh.
So Miles, wouldn't it just, like, I asked you on Friday if you'd be shocked if they trade him. You said no.
No.
I said no.
But I think you're driving.
I think fans, you even said fans are at peace with it on Friday.
I think fans would be at peace with it, but I don't think it's very healthy to sit there and analyze it every single week or every single day of every single week leading up to the draft. Now, when the draft comes here, I'm not going to be silly here, but I just think it's silly because you said, well, every national show. Okay, well, we're a local show. So, yeah, if we were national, if you and I were national, and we were looking at this from 30,000 feet, and we'd be sitting there going, okay, what do the Lions need? What do the Eagles need? Et cetera, et cetera. But we're not. We're in Cleveland. And I do think there is some responsibility to not drive the fans insane talking about trading the greatest player in defensive history for this football team every single damn day. Now, today, it is Jermaine. Today, it is Jermaine. He said these comments yesterday. I'm not fighting even talking about the comments today. It's not what I'm pointing out. I'm just pointing out to everybody that, man, if you guys keep obsessing about this, you're going to drive yourself crazy. Because there is clearly, if they do get a call, the price is going to be astronomical. Mm-hmm. So whoever is willing to make the call is a serious person only. Now, it might be better to do it this summer. I'm not going to walk away from that. I just think it's better for all of us to possibly move on because you're going to drive yourself nuts. And do they really want the deal's the deal? But I just don't believe that Andrew Berry would sit here and go through all this stuff about all these different moves to make, all these trades, to sit here and deal with the history that is the Deshaun Watson deal, and then turn right around. And even though I could make the argument, like say if they did, okay, let's toy with this notion for a moment. Say they gave him up for 3 first-round picks. Say you got 3 ones for Myles Garrett and some change, right? I could look Andrew Berry in the eye, I could shake his hand, and I could go, you're doing what you believe is best for this football team, the best for this organization. I cannot ever accuse you of just trying to hold on to your job. But you know going in, you're a lame duck general manager. You're not going to win very many games. It torpedoes the locker room. It torpedoes the coaching staff because you've gotten rid of the player of the generation. And it torpedoes the fan base. If anybody's getting their season tickets renewed or anybody's going to these games this year, right off the rip, they're going to C95. I mean, hey, I can be a football guy and give you all the Grant Delpit arguments I want. The general population ain't going because they think the Browns are going to be a tremendous juggernaut of a football team this year. They're going because it's tradition. They love the Browns, and they're going to see 95 play. And if 95's not there and he's been traded for picks in the future in 2027 and 2028, okie dokie, see you in 27 and 28. So it's going to drive fans crazy, and I don't see a reason to drive Cleveland fans crazy about bringing it up every day after today. I'm done.
Yeah, I'm not going to be sitting there thinking about it every day. Well, I just think it's pretty obvious that, if I were to make a bet on whether or not Myles Garrett's here in 2 years, I'd say probably not.
I don't know. I don't think it's that easy. I don't think it's that easy to move on from the guy. I don't. I think that even if a new general manager were to come in here, you have to deal with your owner, and your owner is looking for. I think he's looking for anything that brings credence to legitimization of this football team. I know I'm saying a lot of words here. I think he's looking for anybody that the fans can count on. That's why we've drug it out with Joel Bitonio, and we're still figuring out whether or not Joel Bitonio wants to come back. It's still been weeks now since that contract had to come to fruition there. So you're still dragging it out on Joel. You're going to continue to drag it out on Myles. You're trying to find something that the fans can relate to. Somebody that's going to give them hope, because right now, there's some good young guys, but they're not Myles.
Unfortunately, Myles doesn't really bring the hope. It just brings, amazing play from a dominant defensive player. But unfortunately, that in and of itself has not really brought fans a lot of hope. What is going to bring them hope is obviously fixing the quarterback situation. And I hate to say it, you trade Myles for a haul of picks, and then what does it do? Not only does it get you those picks, but it also means that the Browns are going to be able to get the number 1, number 2, or number 3 pick in next year's draft because they're going to be bad.
I understand.
And that is going to bring fans more hope than what Myles has been able to bring them. I did a podcast. I was a guest on a podcast over the weekend there, and they were asking me several questions about this in particular. And maybe that's why I'm a little sensitive to it. It wasn't their fault. They asked me the questions. But also, I did that thing that I told you I wasn't going to do, where I started to talk myself into maybe them being a little bit better than what I think they're going to be this year, because I've been saying 5-6 wins. And then I started to think, well, you got some veterans there. If you go, and I'm starting to think maybe they'll go wide receiver, and I'll tell you why at another time here during this show, more than likely. It's like, say you take a wide receiver at 6, you got these veterans here on your offensive line. You've switched out your offensive line, but you're hoping that George Warhop is going to be able to keep everything together and do as good a job as possible while you make these moves, right? If you are not playing the best schedule because you're playing against teams that were like you last year, and your strength of schedule is going to be low, if you get yourself a wide receiver that the defense has to take seriously, the defense has to adjust to. If you take that type of guy who are either he's open, or I open up Quinshon Judkins with the running game, or I open up Harold Fannin Jr. with the tight end, or God forbid, you get something out of Jerry Jeudy and Isaiah Bond. Maybe the offense will be a little bit better. If the defense stays the defense, maybe you can win 7-8 games. And I start to talk myself into these things. And if you get rid of 95, that's it. That's it. There's no reason for them to come to your stadium. To what? To watch the kids play again? Well, they did that in 16-17, right. And look, how that stadium looked. If any fan base knows how that feels like and can mentally prepare for that kind of a season, it's the Browns fan base.
And I don't want him to have to do it. If he gets traded, I'll deal with it. I'm not out there rooting for it. I think that this is a very delicate situation. But the thing that I say to everybody is that, it's easy to say it when we go, hey, let's just make the picks and let's just get these picks back and go on. Yeah, but to actually live it, to actually have to go through it, and actually have to give a product that the fan base wants without 95 this year is nearly impossible. And so, no, I don't care who he was talking to in front of God and everybody, because I don't think that they're hashing out a trade right in front of everybody at the league meetings with him and Howie Roseman. 216-474-0092. I was up for 3 nights getting harassed. Fine. Let's address this elephant in the room. The Chase Delauter conversation and how I was just beaten, and drugged through the streets of social media over the weekend. Ken Carman, Anthony Lima, take us with you to work on the free Odyssey app.
It's Anthony.
insurance. If you dread dealing with your insurance more than getting stuck in an elevator with an overshare,
bean burrito for lunch.
you have Insuranoia. You should have NJM. They go to great lengths to do what's best for their policyholders. Insurance underwritten by NJM Insurance Company and its subsidiaries.
Talk sports deep into the Cleveland night. Overtime with Jake Volnick. Weeknights at 7. Sports Radio 92.3 The Fan.
If Chase Delauter can just stay healthy, he could be the right fielder. Even though Lonnie Chisenhall started his career at third base, Chase Delauter could be the right fielder that we were all, or the player that we were all hoping that Lonnie Chisenhall could be before the injuries. Issue is the injuries. If he could stay healthy, I think he has the power. I think he has the play where he can obviously stay in the lineup, that he could be that player that we always hoped that Lonnie Chisenhall could be. That's not a knock on Lonnie Chisenhall. Lonnie Chisenhall, I think, by and large, was robbed by his injuries and the fits and starts of his career. Still had 8 seasons in the bigs. By and large, was robbed. Friday was just a disaster of a day. A disaster of a day after that comment. So let's address the elephant in the room. I am not a person that goes out of my way to make people upset. Clearly, by the last segment we just had where I said that we're done talking about Myles Garrett being traded because I don't want to upset anybody. I didn't realize I was going to be because, guys, I tried to sit there. The guy hits home runs. I'm looking at it going, this is a great story. I go, who can I compare him to? Because life is comparison. Pro sports is comparison. And I mean, I'm up since 2 on Friday going, who can I compare this kid to that is anywhere near the ballpark? And I go, you got to be careful. He's played in 1 game. Let's be careful here. I didn't know he was going to hit a home run on Friday. Okay? I didn't know he was going to hit another home run after that. I didn't know he was going to do that.
And then break up a no-hitter.
So you got this player who's fantastic. He's incredible. And he did, and exactly right. He broke up a no-hitter for crying out loud. And the only thing I was thinking of is okay, because a lot of the names that people were giving me were names that I thought of before I said Lonnie Chisenhall. Hand to God, on my kids. And I thought, all right, I remember when I was in the minors, Lonnie coming up, I saw his first pro game at Eastwood Field. Place was packed. Fans were excited. I was there when he was in Akron. Fans were excited. I was actually there when his first homestand, and fans were really excited about the possibilities. Now, as a ball player, okay, Chase Delauter has way more tools than what Lonnie Chisenhall had. But I was looking at it going, they're both first-round picks. Okay, one guy, Lonnie Chisenhall, was the number 1 overall prospect in for the Guardians organization / Indians organization back then in 2011. Somebody actually remarked in my comments over the weekend. I got no sleep over the weekend. Somebody actually remarked that Lonnie Chisenhall was higher ranked by Baseball America than what Chase Delauter was when he got called up to the bigs. So here I am, and I'm dealing with both of them. I go, okay, fine. You know what? I'm not here to make anybody upset. I'll take the Lonnie thing to my grave. Fine. There's way worse things I thought I could say. Who do you want me to compare him to? You guys course correct me. I'll make a comparison, and we'll do it because I got so many different ones over this weekend. I finally sent out yesterday. I mean, I got a bunch of responses. I said, okay, guys, I'm not there to upset you. Who do you guys want me to compare him to? Who do you want me to compare him to? They asked Jason Stanford, former Indians pitcher, on Afternoon Drive. He was their guest talking baseball. Who does he compare Chase Delauter to?
JP and I both come up with comps for Chase Delauter if he can stay healthy. Is there a player that Chase reminds you of from your time watching baseball? Don't say Lonnie Chisenhall, by the way.
That's not a popular answer right now.
Not even close. Look, I love Lonnie Chisenhall, too. Great guy, good teammate in the clubhouse, but not even close. I mean, Chase yesterday, you watch his 2 home runs, he takes a half swing. It looks like my golf swing when I shank it, and then it goes 500 feet. It's the best swing that I've seen right now. He doesn't have to take full swings. He's so stinking strong. And I go back to the game when they were in Arizona against the Diamondbacks just recently, the last couple exhibition games. And he hit that one to dead center. And I was like, holy cow. I was like, if everybody could swing like Chase, I mean, we'd be leading home runs all day long for every year moving forward. So in terms of somebody that is like Chase, I'm going to say more of like a Chase Utley type of swing, but Chase Utley had less power.
Chase Utley had 259 career home runs. Is Chase Utley apropos? Because I thought, guys, I didn't think of Manny. I did not put Manny in that category. But
that's who I heard all weekend.
I thought
they were jumping right to the Manny comparisons.
And maybe that's it. Maybe that's the one. That's the comparison I'm going to make. But if you make that comparison, I mean, Manny would be an all-time Hall of Famer had it not been for pregnancy pills and God knows what in the Baseball Hall of Fame writers. I mean, you're looking at one of the better hitters of all time, one of the better hitters in an Indians uniform of all time. I got a guy who's played in 4 games. Wouldn't that come off a bit presumptuous if I were to do that?
Of course.
So I was just looking at the fan fever of it. That's all I was doing.
We just talked when it came to the Browns about doing everything we can to find hope in anything, and then it kind of sounds like you're knocking down the hope when you say Lonnie Chisenhall for Chase Delauter.
I wasn't trying.
I know you weren't trying. I know you weren't trying to.
God, I couldn't believe it. I go, I'm getting killed for this, and I can't believe I'm getting killed for it. I had no idea I was going to get killed so bad. Of all the crazy things that I've said, in 14 years, that was what was going to get me drugged through the streets? Was a Lonnie Chisenhall comp fine?
Well, people are never going to look at the start. They're all going to look at how it ended, right?
You are right, and I didn't see that coming. You are right about that. You're both right about that. But I thought, honestly, 2 a.m. on, I'm sitting there going, man, if I compare this guy to Joe Charbonneau, people are going to look at the injury and go, what, you're already saying he's going to be injured? If I compare this guy, who else did I write down here? If I compare this guy to Grady Sizemore. Grady was the other one I thought of. Grady was in a Sports Center commercial. Everybody loved Grady Sizemore. And then his career was cut short, drastically short by injuries, to the point where the organization loved him. They were willing to pay him $5 million to come back, and he played in like a handful of games, it felt like. So, I didn't know who to compare him to, but I've just seen this Herculean effort by this rookie that almost sounds like a Paul Bunyan story by the time it's all said and done. And so I love Chase Delauter. And I'm glad that he had a great outing. I want us to have hope. I want us to actually have a bopper that's around Jose Ramirez to protect Jose in the lineup and give him something better to hit so it doesn't feel like he has to drag this organization with him with a bunch of pups. I have a lot of hope for Chase Delauter, and I wanted to shout it from the top of a mountain. But I only had for this to come off this way, but I only had a microphone and a co-host. And so I made a comparison to a player that I really, really liked and thought had a lot of potential that got cut short. That's all.
What he did in the 10th inning against Munoz, who is virtually unhittable, where that ball was placed, what was it, a four-seamer that was kind of rising in a way, and he just poked it the opposite way into the bleachers. That is the type of hitting, because anybody can pull, balls. These guys, so many guys, that's all they do, and that's why they strike out so much. He was like in protection mode in a 2-2 pitch and took it into the bleachers the other way, and you're like, that's a professional hitter. That's such an insane thing to do in extras, and I know they were already up 1, but it was just so awesome. They have had no protection for Jose Ramirez in that lineup for so long. It was just a thing of beauty. And that's the type of stuff. That's why when they hear Lonnie Chisenhall, they're going to be like, man, that is like Hall of Fame stuff. So they want to run and jump to the crazy
Tone, I felt if I would have
comparisons.
came out here and I go, and Owen knows this, in 2019, I will admit, maybe life got in the way. I did not feel that was a good year for watching all the sports for me. Okay, I've admitted that in the past. And when we had the stoppage in 2020 for the pandemic, I swore up and down, I'm not going to take the sports for granted anymore. I'm going to make a damn concerted effort every single night, no matter what happens in life. This is still my life. This is still our business. I'm going to make a damn concerted effort to watch every single Guardians game and every single Cavs game that's possibly out there and leave the sports on, because you forget, once it's taken away from you, you remember the drama and the storytelling that's done in just a regular game. So I have made over the last 5 years, now going on 6, or technically 5 since 2021, the most concerted effort where it's like, okay, even if I can't watch it live, I'm going to still see it the morning after. I'm going to still see it later on. And I watched how many Guardians games? And I know we don't get a chance to talk about it very much, so I wanted to be respectful, and I thought if I came out here and I was like, oh my God, this guy's the next Manny Ramirez, people go, what? Judas Priest, Ken, it's been one game, you're comparing him to Man Ram? and realized I was going to raise such ire over a Lonnie Chisenhall comment.
I just can't get over, to have the start that he had, to split those games against Seattle, and then to bring up the no-hit bid yesterday.
Yeah.
I said earlier, it felt like another home run. Even though it won't go into the books like that. It's just rare to have that kind of an excitement for something that we have been so desperate for so long.
Just imagine, had you compared him to Manny on Friday morning, you would be doing a victory lap right now instead of
it would be
a contrition.
And I don't want to be. I love him. I swear to God.
But what could have been, Ken? What could have been?
Who do you guys want me to compare him to from now on?
Babe Ruth.
Mickey Mantle, I was going to say.
Well, I don't know if he drinks. I can't compare him to Mickey Mantle yet. Lima likes at 7:45 that new ABS system in Major League Baseball is even better than we thought. Matt Derry, I'm asking him his comparison coming up at 8 o'clock, okay, from the Derry Brothers Guardians cast. You could bet your ass on that. And time heals a lot of things with a fan base. And maybe I'm wrong, and you just want to win now. Because if this guy goes out there, I think you're going to be conflicted. Ken Carman, Anthony Lima, take us with you to work on the free Odyssey app.
Cleveland the Browns playlist and 92.3 The Fan on the Odyssey app. Headline sports news every 20 minutes right here on 92.3 The Fan. From the University Hospital Sports Desk, I'm Jeff Thomas.
Get the latest Cavs news up until tip-off. The Afternoon Drive. Weekdays starting at 2. Cleveland's Sports Radio. 92.3 The Fan.
Eight o'clock, Matt Derry is going to join us on the show. Social media reactions brought to you by
Scheib & Jewelers, Cleveland's premier jewelry store.
I have a lot of people coming out of the woodwork going, I understood what you were trying to say. It wasn't so bad. I go, guys, I have not been. When I said that I would rather have Freddie Kitchens than Mike Vrabel, and they proceeded to go out and commit 20 penalties against the Titans and get boat raced that Sunday, like, it wasn't even that bad. It wasn't even that bad. Like, I think maybe it's because people had hope for Freddie Kitchens still, but it was like, oh, my God, I cannot believe the beating I'm taking. Yes.
But what you were trying to do was compare him to the hype that he had, right?
Yes, that's all I was trying to do. Yes.
But you kept bringing up he had a nice 8-year career and all that, so it came out as you wanted him to end up like Lonnie Chisenhall. No. And if he ends up like Lonnie Chisenhall, that's kind of a bust.
Probably be a disappointment, yeah. Yeah. And
especially once you hit 4 home runs to start your career on the first weekend.
And Lonnie hit, so he's 60 away from Lonnie?
He's 60 away from Lonnie's career number.
Which he might do by the end of May, it seems. All right, so now I understand. I understand to that level, but I'm like, guys, I actually tried to think it out. I do take an effort here. I wasn't just shooting my mouth off, even though a lot of times I see, and I just got killed for the rest of the weekend. So I want to ask Matt Derry, fine, what does he want to compare him to, and the biggest thing for the Guardians to do in the first month of the season? And Lima likes it's at 7:45, and we're giving you away tickets to the Fan Mock Draft coming up at 9 o'clock, which is always a fun time. You're going to want to win. You're going to want to win this team. We're going to give you away a team, and you're going to get on over there to the Fan Mock Draft. It's going to be a hell of a time, and everybody's going to love it. So yesterday, Andrew Berry gave a press interview session where it's kind of laid back, kind of formal, whatever. They're asking serious questions. I mean, the Miles deal, we brought that up in the first hour of the show. And then, he's asked questions about the quarterback. And he was asked questions about, which one's going to be the starter. And I enjoyed what he had said. I didn't enjoy it, but I thought it was a pretty honest thing when he talks about who decides the starter and who that starter is going to be. And when Andrew Berry says that Todd Monken's going to make that decision, Tone, I took a little bit of heart to that.
In terms of them competing for their starting job, anyone we bring in, we want to compete. But a large part of that will be, for any young player, will depend on their acclimation to the NFL and their readiness to play. And that's really done on a case-by-case basis. In terms of Ty specifically, I think you can understand we wouldn't necessarily comment on specific prospects. We have spent time with Ty. I think that's obvious, and we'll continue to do so. But I think he has a bright NFL future.
So what do you take from that when he says that? Because there's other things that are being said right now about this quarterback Chase that's a little bit different, but go ahead.
I thought it was interesting. I thought all along they'd be bringing in like a veteran. And to hear young, that typically lends itself, having a really young quarterback room of guys that haven't proven anything, that typically lends to like, you're one of the worst teams in football.
Uh-huh.
I mean, that is what that is. So I'm a little surprised by that. I thought all along like a Marcus Mariota could be coming here. So that kind of threw me off. I got to be honest.
Well, here is Mike Garafolo, NFL Network, where he says he believes he knows who the leader in the clubhouse is for that starting job.
Does Deshaun Watson have a chance to be the Brown starter in 2026? Yes, he does. And in my opinion, he's got a great shot. In fact, at this point, if Deshaun Watson is the starter week 1 for the Cleveland Browns, this guy right here is not going to be surprised. Now, it'll probably be some kind of open competition that we'll have, but you're paying him anyway. He's on the roster. He was previously an accomplished quarterback. There's been a lot that's happened off the field. I understand that. But to me, Deshaun Watson might even be in the pole position at this point to be the Brown starter for this upcoming season.
Not something I wanted to hear. Audio courtesy of Good Morning Football on NFL Network. Do you care anymore about how fans feel about it? Do you care anymore? Because the question I want to ask, like, guys, it's been 5 years. Is it just about winning now? Is any of the other stuff, does it matter to you? Because I think if he ends up being the starting quarterback here, then I'm going to be proven correct. Like, if it was Kevin, I'd still think that Shedeur Sanders would be the starting quarterback going into this year. But now that you have Todd Monken, if he's going to make the decision and it ends up being Deshaun Watson here, I thought you might end up having more hell to pay over it a little bit. But then, you hear guys like Baskin brought it up on Friday where Baskin had this to say in the middle of the day.
If you can win when you return to the field, no one cares about your awfulness of 3.5 years.
3.5 years.
If he goes out there and wins games in the beginning of the season, no one's going to care about what happened the last 3 years.
Please. Yes, they will. Yes, they will.
Dan, if let's say Deshaun Watson, again, hypothetical. I know you're going to he's insane. Hypothetical.
Oh, I know. We're on the hypothetical island right here. I'm aware.
Watson starts the season off 4-0. Does anyone care about the last 3 years? No, they don't.
But why am I going to let a flash in the now completely derail my future? That's the other problem with this. There's no future with Deshaun Watson. There's none. Zero. Zilch. Why would you want a future?
Season. Because if they started the season, again, hypothetical, don't.
Oh, I know. We're down the hypothetical road. I understand that.
If you start the season 4-0 with him, people won't care about what happened in the past. B, people are going to think we're going to the Super Bowl.
We're doing a lot of hypotheticals here. I completely agree with Dan because I don't think there's anybody out there who thinks that Deshaun Watson is going to be good enough to give them any sort of a future whatsoever. If you're going to start that guy, he's got to be not just decent, he's got to be damn good because your fans are not going to like that. At least that's how I feel. Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe that it has been enough time. Maybe Baskin's right that if you just go out there and you win, at some point, if you're to win that much, then it's undeniable. If he turns this football team into a 12 or 13 win team, then I can't say anything to the guy. But I think a lot of people think pigs will fly before that actually happens. So he's got to be outstanding for them to start this guy week one with this fan base. Or maybe I'm sticking my head in the sand again.
Look, if a serial killer came in and went 5-0 for the Browns, they'll root for him. That's just a reality of how this works. But
top 3 serial killers, you think you can go 5-0 for the Browns?
How tall was Dahmer? How big were his hands? So here's the issue. Ken would be more well suited to do this.
It would not be John Gacy.
He probably had a lot of hands to choose from.
Couldn't get out of the pocket.
Now Gacy was personable. He knew how to.
Oh, he would have had.
He could run a locker room.
Command of the press conference. Yep. I mean, he ran chicken restaurants. This is a guy who knew how to lead people.
So it's just so hard for me to fathom a world where the guy that I saw was such a shell of himself before the injuries. This is the thing about Watson. It was not just, you can't just say the injuries derailed him because obviously he was bad. It was not looking good, save for that second half against the Baltimore Ravens. It wasn't looking good. The mechanics were off. He looked like he was lost upstairs. It was not pretty. He looked like nothing like the guy that I wanted, that I advocated for.
This is why I'm so surprised that Garofalo said what he said. And maybe I shouldn't be, but it's man, Shador has to go out there and just be abominable to me in OTAs for Deshaun Watson to win this job. He's got to be so behind and so bad. And it would end the conversation.
But are you talking as a Browns fan or as Todd Monken?
I'm talking.
I think those are two totally different things, man.
Well, Todd's
coming in clear-headed on this, right?
Yeah, and obviously, I brought this up before. It's kind of silly, the small sample size, but he saw Deshaun Watson in that second half. He also saw that game where it sucked for Shador, but he was brought into a terrible spot, and Shador looked like he didn't belong in the NFL. Now, we all understand why. It wasn't like he was adequately prepared for that moment, but that could be something that's ingrained in Monken's mind. He saw it. He was there on the sidelines.
So it's been, as they said, 3.5 years. Let me just ask anybody, is it just about winning now to you? 216-474-0092. If Deshaun Watson were, I kind of want to know, if Deshaun Watson were to start, would you, not go to the games? Would you, not want to watch if Deshaun Watson were to start for the Cleveland Browns? I have to watch. There would be a curiosity to see whether or not he could actually tune it back up again, but I don't think that there would be, and I think every game that he plays in that they lose, people would look at it and go, well, we could have saw what we had with Shador, we could have saw what we had with somebody else, maybe another young QB who they might bring in, who the hell knows. I think they look at it as a missed opportunity because they don't think the team's going to be very good. And if the the team has to be so good with Deshaun Watson, it's got to be undeniable because I don't think fans like him. I don't think he actually likes it here. I've said that a million times, and I don't think they want to see him start week one. I think they'd rather see Shador Sanders. I think there might be some fans out there who'd like to see neither of them, but you have what you have. And so if you're making a choice on one of the two guys, I think that 90% of Browns fans, maybe 80, I think they'd rather see Shador over Deshaun Watson. I don't think it's much of a choice to a lot of Browns fans. Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe they just want to see him win now.
No, I think what they're most nervous about is that he wins just enough. Like, it'd be one thing if, it was the 2019 Deshaun Watson all over again. That's different. I mean, that's a guy that can help you win a Super Bowl with this defense. But nobody thinks that's happening. And if he's just average, no, fans do not. Because part of it is it's not just that Deshaun Watson, like the allegations were pretty much done. The settlements have been reached. That, okay, for him, that part of his story, he's trying to put behind him. It's that he has not done an adequate job of showing either remorse or connecting with Cleveland fans. He's done none of that. He's barely been in Cleveland.
This is interesting to me because you wanted him. Years ago, you wanted him. We would have, red-faced, vein-popping out arguments over this guy. And I'm getting a different tone out of you. Like, you used to be like, Kenny, don't tell me about it. Just tell me how good a football player he is. And at that time, it was really undeniable how good of a football player he is. Now that we have more evidence, I got to tell you, I'll give you as much credit as I can in a segment that I really don't want to, where you do think about the temperature of the fan base because you have come around to think that he is not going to be very good this year. I can sense it in you. I think you're ready to move on from him as soon as we possibly can. Am I wrong by saying that about Deshaun Watson? Yes.
Yeah, last year. I mean, this.
So wouldn't you be upset if he started week 1?
Yeah. But then again, if he starts playing well, we're in it to talk about Browns football and how good they are. So
216-474-0092. Is it just about winning now for you? We'll also give away a team for the fan mock draft at 9 o'clock. Gosh, that's a lot of fun. And I know you guys are going to want to be there. Really, it's a great ass-off session. It's wonderful. You guys are going to absolutely love it. That's coming up at 9 o'clock this morning. And the new ABS system in Major League Baseball is even better than you thought. It's coming up in Lima Likes at 7:45 on the Fan.
as the Huskies rallied from 19 down to get the win. Also on Sunday, the Midwest Michigan topping Tennessee 95-62. You can now find 92.3 The Fan on YouTube. Subscribe to our YouTube channel to the best content from our shows each and every weekday. That's 92.3 The Fan on YouTube. Headline sports news every 20 minutes right here on 92.3 The Fan. From the University Hospital Sports Desk, I'm Jeff Thomas.
Tiger Woods turned us on to DUI lawyers on Friday. That's coming up in Lima Likes at 7:45. I don't think it's just about winning. I don't think they think he's going to win. I think Deshaun Watson reminds them of failure. That's why I think fans do not want him out there. It's not just like, listen, all the other things that's been taken care of in the courts, things that we did not like discussing for a long period of time. I think there might be a little bit of reminder of all that, the uncomfortable conversations that we had to have, but there's also where, I mean, you look at what this franchise has been. They've only been competitive when he hasn't played. The only time they were competitive, he wasn't the quarterback. And so I think a lot of folks just look at him as like, man, like, Shador, does he have it? Does he not? A lot of people are probably leaning towards probably not, okay? But I think a lot of people are looking at the other guy going, he's just a reminder of failure. That he's just a reminder of what could have been had we not freaked out. Because the conversations that we would be having had they not traded for him are still better than the conversations we're having now. Like, I don't think I can't say it would have been AFC Championship game every single year. I bet it would be a hell of a lot more competitive than what it's been, and those would still be healthier conversations than the conversations we've had over the last 3.5 years. So I think a lot of fans feel that way, and he better be amazing. Shador better be absolute garbage if that guy's going to play week one, because I don't think anybody wants to see that guy.
And I don't think anybody could possibly forecast him being amazing.
No.
He's looked like one of the worst quarterbacks in the league when he's playing.
Yeah,
and that was some of that was before the injuries.
In his corner, I'm gonna get to these calls here in a second because I want to know: do you care if Watson starts the season? I mean, Mike Garafolo, we're gonna have Matt Derry coming on at 8:00. We'll talk Guardians with him, obviously, Derry Brothers Guardians cast. But Mike Garafolo, NFL Network, says on Good Morning Football that Deshaun Watson would be the leader in the clubhouse, right, to be the starting quarterback for 2026. When he says that, a lot of people's hearts sink. Why? Because they don't want to. They at least want something to look forward to, not a reminder of how bad things have been. And that's what Deshaun Watson represents to those folks. And I'm hearing it in your voice. You even feel the same way. And it has not been this way in your life. So even if I got a guy who likes to be right, who loves the sport, debate is a sport to you. And a guy like you willing to lay his sword down going, yeah, this ain't going to work. Fine. I think it says everything that we need to know going, man, they better make... Shador might as well have his arms fall off if he's not going to start week one, because I don't think a lot of fans are going to want to see the other guy at all. At least there's a decent curiosity.
Yeah, the only thing I do have a morbid curiosity as to how somebody could go from, top 5, top 7 quarterback, depending on, what list you had, for a sustained amount of time and came crashing down to that level. And we haven't really heard of why. We haven't had anybody been able to adequately go through, maybe it's the film or the mechanics, how someone could go from so talented while they're still in, their athletic prime, at least in terms of their years and everything. We've just never seen anything like it. I can't find any kind of comparison.
I wish I could tell you. I mean, honestly, now because that guy came back and he won a major, so I can't even say him. All right, here's Andrew Berry on the issue. Go ahead.
Nobody has touched the grass. Nobody has really worked with our coaching staff. Everyone in that room deserves opportunity. And so we'll certainly know a lot more as we get to the spring. We'll know even more as we get to camp. We wouldn't be doing the right thing for the team. We wouldn't be doing the right thing for that position, if we didn't go in with it eyes wide open.
I understand that they have to have their eyes open to it, but, man, I think they have to be squinting a little bit if they're considering to play Deshaun Watson week one. 216-474-0092. Is it just about winning with you now? Is it about nothing else? You don't care about any of the past, or maybe you do care, but you know what? It's the past of the past. I'm trying to win now with this football team. You could be looking at it going, guys, if we're holding on to Myles Garrett, we might as well put our best foot forward out there. Then the best quarterback should start for this football team. And if that means that Deshaun Watson's the best quarterback for this football team, then so be it. Is it just about winning now? Because I look at it and I go, I still don't think we're going to do a lot of winning with Deshaun Watson, so I can't even make the argument. Like, if you thought, man, with Deshaun Watson at the peak of his powers with this team, I'm going to get to the calls here in just a second, but if you think that he's going to make this team a 12, 13-win team, 11-win team, then maybe that's the case. I don't know anybody out there who would think that.
Yeah, the only thing I wonder about sometimes when I hear Andrew Berry and I see Jimmy Haslam and reports of Haslam is I think we could say, and not that this is that unique compared to other owners because everybody wants to be good, but they have missed the boat entirely in the past on how hopeful they've been about certain seasons when everybody was telling them, no, you're going to be bad. And like Jimmy Haslam, I mean, part of the narrative of last year is that Jimmy Haslam thought they would be better than they were.
Yeah.
Nobody in football did, but they did. So I do get nervous when I hear about what the Browns think because the Browns have been way, way off. Like Vegas has been far more accurate in predicting Brown seasons than what seems to be people in that building.
Greg Gardo, 745, 216-474-0092. Dan and Medina, you're first up on the Fan. Hello, Dan.
Hey, good morning.
Good morning.
Yeah, just hypothetically, if Deshaun does play well and has a good year, he's kind of playing for a contract year, so I feel like we're wasting a year with him because there's no way he's staying in Cleveland after this season. So I wish we would just part ways with him.
Well, he was. I tell you, I'd feel the same way, but it's almost the cap struggle. They never want to deal with that. They may want to see if there's something to squeeze out of him if Deshaun can't, or if Shedeur either can't go, which he should be able to go, obviously. But if he's not good enough, they might want to see some of that. I feel the same way you do. I don't think that the fans really want him here. I really don't think he wants to be here anymore. I think it might become a conversation, and maybe it's something better for the Browns. Dan, thank you very much for the call because I want to play this. I want to play this Barry clip here just for a moment because Watson's contract could possibly be a factor into this. But let me say this: it might be something that would behoove them because if he does end up playing well, is that a way you can get out of this? Is this a way you can get picks out of it and go, fine, you know what? It's all over. You don't want to be here anymore. Our fans really don't want you here anymore. If he plays even decently, because I don't know if he's going to play even decently. If he plays decently, could you get anything back and wish sayonara, goodbye, we don't have to deal with it anymore? Barry was asked yesterday at the league meetings whether or not Deshaun Watson's contract has anything to do with this.
I think we're probably just more focused on performance and best players. Certainly time horizon factors into that, but just with any veteran player, there's no rule against extending the player's contract if they perform and they do well. I wouldn't necessarily box it into any one approach. It really will be performance-based.
He would have to play so unrealistically well for us to consider this. Because even if he got to 9-10 wins, I'd be shocked.
You'd have to look like a top 10 quarterback.
Exactly.
I mean, that's what he would have to look like.
And then you would have to go, can I trust him to give him more money considering the injury history? Do I trust him considering that the fans don't necessarily care for him? And so you got to do just an unbelievable amount of winning that I don't think that they're capable of doing this year for him to pull up any sort of nose on his relationship with Browns fans.
And you don't even have a group of fans that are really would consider themselves Deshaun fans at this point. Those went away.
Yeah.
They've picked their other fighters when it comes to this because they lost hope. When the super fans lose their hope, then there are no more pockets of huge fandom that are sticking up for them. Like in a quarterback competition this year, and we've lived through a bunch of these, people they're incapable of being unbiased. I saw that with Manziel and Hoyer when clearly Hoyer was the better quarterback in training camp and preseason, and yet people didn't want that because they knew he wasn't the future. So what were they doing? They were overly gushing about things that Manziel was doing. Well, who's going to do that for Deshaun Watson this time around? They'll do it for Shedeur. They're not going to do it for
and
Deshaun.
Honestly, I'm an emotional person, and I will probably do it myself. You will have to probably call me out because if Shedeur's even close, the tie's going to go to Shedeur. Certainly with me.
Yeah. Oh, for sure.
So
honestly, as well it should.
If I go to OTAs and I go to camp and I see Shedeur, even if it just looks like more of the same of what it looked last year, I'm going to go, well, more of the same of what it looked last year. Last year wasn't too great, but it wasn't too bad. Go put Shedeur out there. Like, you will have to tell me. You will have to be there and tell me, Kenny, what you are seeing. I'll admit this openly. What you are seeing is not as good as the other one. You just want this guy to start because you don't want to have the conversations about Deshaun Watson. And if I have to rectify that with myself during OTAs and training camp coming up this summer, then damn it, so be it. Maybe I'll have to, because I know me, and I know I can be an emotional person and try to think of everyone's feelings on this. And damn it, I just think it would be a terrible feeling for a lot of fans. He would have to go out and look terrible in the preseason games for them to have any hope if you were to turn around and put Deshaun Watson out there as a starting quarterback week 1. Ethan in a car, you're next up on the Fan. Hello.
Hey, good morning, guys.
Morning, Ethan.
I think there should be zero fans that want to see Deshaun Watson start for the Cleveland Browns ever again. And I think part of it goes to the Deshaun Watson trade being a reminder that the Haslam regime believes they know more than the fans about the game of football, just as Haslam believes he knows more about basketball than fans, and that's clearly derailed the Milwaukee Bucks franchise. It's going to lose them the best player they've had since Kareem. And I think that Deshaun Watson, at this point in his career, he doesn't care about the city of Cleveland. He might be better than Shedeur, which is sad to say, but Shedeur at least cares about the city of Cleveland. And while I respect Todd Monken, I feel like they brought Todd Monken in to try and bring back Deshaun Watson, seeing as though he was the guy who made Stetson Bennett a Heisman candidate. I just don't think any Browns fans in this country or this world that watch the Cleveland Browns should tune in on Sunday morning at 1 p.m. on CBS to watch Deshaun Watson play football.
Well, you didn't say Fox, so I mean they could tune into Fox 8 and watch him. I'm kidding, Ethan. I don't think it was just about Deshaun. I mean, when you have an owner who calls it a mistake twice, did they really hire Todd Monken to save Deshaun Watson's career? Or did they just want somebody different to run this offense a little bit differently and better, you would underline, than what they were getting with Kevin Stefanski over the last couple of years? I think that's more of the case there, Ethan.
Yeah, I mean, perhaps, but it could also – I also look at it as a move to try and make Shedeur a NFL starting quarterback. Mm-hmm. But I feel like they're doubling, tripling down on Deshaun Watson. You can call it a mistake twice, but when reports are coming out that the Browns are – their eyes are open and they might have Deshaun Watson start. I mean, you can call him a mistake, but at the end of the day, Todd Monken's going to do what he wants to do. And Jimmy Haslam has, as we know, his ego. He's not willing to, even though he's admitted it's been a mistake twice, he still went to his wedding and paid him $230 million.
Yeah, that he did. Ethan, thank you very much for the call. Go ahead, Tone.
That wedding is still pretty incredible.
I've been to a lot of weddings that were a mistake. Yeah. Now, his wedding might not. Maybe that's the only thing that hasn't been a mistake about all this. But I've been to weddings that have been a mistake. I've said that relationships were a mistake and then went to those weddings.
Like we know next to nothing about the relationship between Deshaun Watson and Jimmy Haslam, other than Jimmy paid him the money to get him to reverse course, and then he went to his wedding. That's all we know about those two. Hey, maybe behind the scenes, Jimmy's given him incredible entrepreneurial advice over the years, him and his now wife. Maybe there's a huge relationship behind the scenes that we don't know about.
I wish I could tell you, but it seems to be that, I don't know, man. If you said that I was a mistake twice over in a different setting, like you and I say terrible things about each other all the time. But if you were my boss and you said I was a mistake 2 times over, am I really going to be big? Are we really going to be that close after that? Are we really going to be like that? Because Jimmy Haslam, I think, is just telling the truth. And if you were a player in the NFL, I don't think you would like to accept something like that. But you're hearing the sentiment from the fans. Like, I don't think it's just about winning. Because I don't think that they have any faith that Deshaun Watson is going to win them that many more games than Shedeur Sanders. I mean, that's how far it's fallen for Deshaun Watson. Naturally, one guy was taken in the first round in the top 15. The other guy, we've had many conversations about that guy. But when it comes to making this decision, I think that one guy, you want to see what you have out of him first, and then maybe you crack the glass on Deshaun Watson to finish out the year, if you have to. Hopefully it never leads to be that way. But I got Garofolo and all these other guys lining up saying it's going to be different. So maybe I'm denying what the truth is, and maybe a lot of Browns fans are. 216-474-0092. Matt Derry, Derry Brothers Guardians Cast. What's the biggest thing for the Guardians in the first month of the season? Other than health. Other than maybe Cade Smith being able to hold down that closer's role. I'll talk to him coming up at 8 o'clock. And the new ABS system in Major League Baseball, even better than you thought. It's coming up in Lima Likes in 5 minutes on The Fan.
Fan.
This report is brought to you by the law offices of Kissling, Nestico, and Reddick. 1-800-HURT-NOW.
There's my all-star.
I had the game-winning hit.
Careful, buddy.
Sorry, Dad.
Accidents can steal life's biggest moments. At KNR, we help you move forward and hold on to what matters most. When you're hurt in a car, you call KNR.
Listen to 92.3 The Fan on the Odyssey, iHeartRadio, and TuneIn app.
Does Lima like or does Lima no like? Like.
Tell me likey. I'm liking it. I like it a lot.
No like.
He doesn't like you.
I don't like you either.
You're tacky and I hate you.
Like or no like. No like or no like.
But I definitely knew what I liked, and I definitely knew what I didn't like.
What a massive sports weekend, as this morning everybody's still talking about what went down yesterday, a comeback for the ages in college hoops. I was asking Ken off the air, when are we going to get a moment in this tournament? And then it was a blowout at halftime. I turned it off. And fortunately, I did catch wind to go back to the UConn versus Duke Elite Eight Final Four matchup with a Final Four bid on the line. And Duke was up 2 with the ball, and then this happened. Courtesy of CBS.
72-70, Duke, 10 seconds to go. Got to cut and run through the ball. Who better than this guy? Get it into Boozer, back for Sarr, ahead. Boozer, that ball deflected and stolen by Mullins. Caravan, 2 seconds. Mullins tosses it up. Ah! It's good! We're point 3! UConn goes in front!
So that was the call on CBS, but we have to do it because I'm sure there are some Duke fans / New York Yankees fans / Lakers fans in the region / Dallas Cowboy fans. Here's the call on the Duke Radio Network.
Get it in. They do for Boozer. Bobbled it. Back for Sarr. Needs to get rid of it. Does for Caden. 7 seconds. Tried to throw it ahead. Deflected. Stolen by Connecticut. 2 seconds. It's Mullins up top for the win. Oh, he hit it. With 0.3 of a second to go. Malachi Smith ran off the bench. That should be a technical. But with 0.3 of a second to go, Connecticut has the lead. 73-72. As Connecticut got the 3 from Mullins after the turnover from Caden Boozer.
Now, I'm guessing that was the student radio network at Duke. That would be my guess. Either way, that was the call. So you heard Ian Eagle. Fantastic as always. I mean, Bill Raftery and Grant Hill were in stunned silence there.
How can they not be?
For a while. That's one of the all-timers. Like, I don't use that. I don't just throw that out there every time there's a buzzer beat or anything. Considering the stakes, considering the 2 programs, and just where these teams were and how that game was going, and what needed to happen for Duke had the ball. It wasn't like it was a setup play for UConn. All Duke has to do is either get fouled or throw the ball up ahead. Well, he tried to throw the ball up ahead, and the rest is history.
Can I ask you a very personal question? I'm going to ask it. As a father, you have baby Izzy. Someday baby Izzy might meet that special guy. Would you give your blessing to a wedding with a man who is a Yankees, Duke, Cowboys fan? Laker, would you give your blessing? Because those type of guys are out there.
Be a new group.
I'd have to get some answers. I have to get.
I don't know.
Where did you go? And are you a lifelong Clevelander and you're a fan of all those things?
Yeah, I don't know.
What led you to this? Because that's the easiest route. I mean, that's the easiest thing of all time. Like, I'm just going to root for all the popular teams. I know the Cowboys haven't really won anything.
Because I'd have to wonder, the Cowboys really haven't.
But when I was young, they were winning Super Bowls.
What are your is this death to your part, or is this just in sickness and in health, but mostly in health, and if you get sick, I'm leaving you? What are your intentions with my daughters, sir? Something you don't need to answer now, but something to percolate on.
Yeah.
Tom.
So I don't know. Do you put that one up in the annals, Kenny? Was that something that stunned you over the weekend?
One of the finer shots of all time. One of the finer reactions I've ever heard. I mean, people love to hate Duke, and people love to hear that reaction out of them. That was wonderful.
Lima likes.
Folks, the Cavs got their vengeance after the loss to Miami. They came back, and they absolutely drilled the Heat. Now, they still have injuries, however.
Lima likes.
Hey, Jared Allen was back and looking like efficient Jared Allen again, and defensive difference maker that they have lacked with other teams, just being able to bring Mobley out and teams just getting a layup line and then open threes against the Cavs. So that went away at least for one night. And
Lima live.
Max Strus off the bench, 8 of 11 from 3.
29 on Friday.
He was on a heater,
And
an
he had a Miller
all-time
Lite
heater.
afterwards.
Yeah, he did.
He did. He was
drinking cold Miller Lite,
crushing beers in the post game.
Tall Boy Friday.
But
enjoyed himself.
I realize that the Cavs are in this just bizarre situation with some teams where they've been really good since the Harden trade. They made a huge swing. Harden has been incredible. He's bought in. They're winning games.
Don't tell Nick.
We got to be careful, and I'll tell you about this in a second, of winning too many games. But how is the city not going nuts about this Cavs team before the end of the year? I can't fathom a world where people wouldn't be really excited about the playoffs.
Some people give us more credit than we deserve. Is that because Nick's fanning the flames of dissension about the Cleveland Cavaliers?
Or you think it's a Nick Wilson thing?
I'm asking you. You've been very reactionary.
Well, then he is very influential, because I am hearing after every Cavs game, who cares? They're going to lose in the second round. Doesn't matter.
I am hearing the same thing, and it annoys me, yes.
And it's weird, because I tried to do an equivalency of, like, if the Guardians made the Andrew Miller move and then fans are like, who cares? Yeah, we're not going anywhere. Or if the Browns made I tried to ask Ken what would be the analog here if they traded for a number 1 wide receiver at the deadline after, like, coming up short in the playoffs for 3 straight years. Would people be like, well, same old Browns? No, this whole town would be going crazy for a Super Bowl. What is it about this that people don't seem to be going nuts about it?
No, I think you're just talking to the wrong people.
They're talking to me. That's the issue. They're talking to me.
I got enough people around me that are pretty excited.
Good. I want to hear more from those people.
They have a reputation, whether it's deserved or not, and I don't think it's deserved at all times, but when there's a reputation, it's hard to break it.
All right, so we have a runaway hit here.
I'm alive.
And that is what we had called robot umps. It's not really robot umps, but it's the ABS system. It's robot challenges. That's what we have right now as the theatrics of this and how it's played out. I saw this clip widely distributed over the weekend. This is with the Cincinnati Reds on a couple calls and a couple instant challenges.
Yes.
Got him looking, challenge, immediate tap of the helmet. The Reds runners all hold.
Batter's challenging the pitch.
ABS powered by T-Mobile. That's out of the zone. The AB continues. ABS can be a lot of fun, Lark.
It's amazing how minuscule the misses are, but these guys just know it. Great feel for that strike zone.
It was called strike 3, end of inning. Now the 2-2. Called strike 3, tap the helmet again. He says it's off the plate away.
Batter's challenging the pitch.
Here we go.
Like the yay boos.
Cheers of the game. The Reds have hit 2 homers. Come on, back-to-back challenges.
It's the perfect storm already. Because it wasn't
That's
just
great.
at home for the Reds, and it wasn't just 2 in a row. It was CB Buckner.
Right,
who is
right.
obviously extremely well known. Him and Angel Hernandez
He's
is
had
both
6 overturns so far.
Not good behind the plate, which is amazing.
It's going to be great in baseball because baseball is a hurry up and wait game anyway, right? Where you sit there forever for one big play to happen. Basketball, it sucks. It kills the action. It kills the moment.
It does. It's terrible.
But in baseball, everybody sits there and bites their nails until somebody has a big swing or something. So now you're getting this with this too. You're getting an overturn. It's great. And if you don't get overturned, everybody gets to boo in unison.
Most people are against the umpires in baseball. And then when you add in a celebrity umpire, who's, again, a celebrity for not making right calls, it adds even more. And then when you add in that he absolutely tried to will that next pitch over the plate, and he just called another one because you know he was worked into his shoot over being proven wrong, and the whole crowd going nuts. I didn't think Eugenio Suarez grounded out in that inning in the 6th. But either way, I'd rather be grounded out than getting rung up by CB Buckner any day.
They put up crooked numbers on the scoreboard when it came to challenges.
Yes.
Like, that's all that matters. So this has been amazing. I do wonder over the course of a season, like, will any of this get old? Right now there's, I think, 2%. Last year in the minors, 3% of actual pitches have been challenged.
If you keep challenging and losing, it will get old for fan bases. Yeah.
Yeah, I just, we have the technology that we don't even need to go through the challenges. We can just call it balls and strikes immediately. At what point will fans maybe say, all right, this was fun. It was a nice gimmick at first. Like, let's just, why do we have umpires calling balls and strikes at all? Why do we have challenges? Like, don't bog it down. Just let's get the technology working. One final note. I'm nervous for Ken.
Domino likes.
John Gross emerging, head coach of Akron, as the lead candidate for
that's the way it goes.
The College of Charleston. Kenny, can Akron lose their basketball coach to Charleston?
I would rather not, but, we have to be prepared for these things. And so you better go out and find another head coach that can keep the standard of Akron basketball up. John Gross did a hell of a job. If he goes on to Charleston, other than weather, I don't know why you go to Charleston. I imagine that we can match it, but, we'll find out.
All right, that's it for Lima Likes.
Outstanding as always. Coming up in a bit. Everybody had to play DUI lawyer over the weekend, considering what happened with Tiger Woods. And coming up in 5 minutes, who does he want me to compare Chase Delauter to? Matt Derry, the Derry Brothers Guardians cast 92.3 The Fan. We go over the Gardos first weekend with Matt coming up in 5 on The Fan.
It's
wins, or is it about the stats, or is it how it looks in between? For Shedeur, he's up against the NFL draft in 2027.
Yeah.
If he wants job security for himself, he does have to check a couple boxes that someone like Drake May, for instance, in year one, didn't necessarily have to check off.
The Afternoon Drive, weekdays starting at 2. We are Sports Radio 92.3 The Fan.
We have a team to give away at 9 o'clock for the Fan Mock Draft, and I'm going to have to go get some paper towels because I just spilled coffee again. Outstanding stuff as we bring in Matt Derry. Derry Brothers Guardians cast, he's one half of it, as well as 92.3 The Fan. Hello, Matt.
Morning, gentlemen. Good to hear your voices.
Matt's on the Make It Right, Call Kyle Wright hotline. So I'm going to ask this question, then eventually I'm going to have to step out because I have to go get paper towels because I spilled coffee all over the table here next to me. Chase Delauter. Obviously, very rarely do we ever see a start like this. What do you expect from Chase Delauter, not just this season, but throughout his entire career? Go.
Yeah, go clean up your coffee. Look, he's not going to hit a home run every day. I mean, we're on a 160 home run pace. That's just not realistic. But to hit 4 home runs the first 3 games, to show the kind of power, the kind of ability that we've been waiting for from a young outfielder. Yeah, Stephen Kwan has developed nicely, and that's somebody they did develop internally. But no, to draft someone as high as they did and have him come through the system, and yes, there were a lot of injuries and everything else, but man, what a weekend for him. And putting it for Stephen Vogt on opening day to put him in the 2-hole and immediately hit him in between Kwan and Ramirez shows the kind of respect that they have for him, that they know the talent is there. And now it's just all about staying healthy with him. But so far, so good. I mean, he kind of carried the offense at times over the weekend. And the home run off of Munoz on Saturday night was just sick because that was a really good pitch, 97, up and away, and he tomahawked it to left field. And people are starting to pay attention. I mean, already now you got some national media kind of scrubbing his hubcaps a little bit, and that's a good thing. He and Kevin McGonigal are going to fight for AL Rookie of the Year, hopefully all season.
Yeah, I wanted you to talk about, I thought you were a perfect person to come in and break down some of these at-bats that we have seen, that one in particular, against a guy that has been absolutely unhittable. And for him to take it, and deposit it in the outfield bleachers going the other way, that one was absurd, but he's really just been showing off, the whole litany of skills so far.
Anthony, this organization, look, they're doing it with Bazzana. And we'll get to this later because I think Travis Bazzana should be here right now. I said this on the podcast last night. But when they put Chase Delauter on the field in a playoff game last year, that's unlike this franchise. This franchise coddles prospects. They hold on to them. They nurse them. I mean, they do everything they can to keep them down as long as possible. Some fans will say that's ownership and all. Regardless, that's what this franchise does. For them to put him out on the field in a playoff game last year when he never played before shows they know the kind of ability that he has, and a credit to them for helping develop it, whether it's down in the minors or whatever. He's got a lot of talent. They drafted him for a reason that high, and now he's showing off, and he's really, really good. So let's go. I love that he played all 4 games. 3 of the 4 he was in right field, and the other one he DH'd. Keep playing him. I mean, if he's healthy and he feels good, and he and Stephen Vogt, I'm sure, have good communication. You see that. That's what makes this manager so good. Keep playing him. I mean, he should be out there. He's that good. And like you mentioned before, Anthony, that at bat, I mean, he's fouling pitches off. Even when he strikes out, he's deep in counts. He's not 0-2 in every count like Gabby Arias is. Sorry. And he's a special talent. So leave him out there and let's let him go.
Matt Derry joining us from the Derry Brothers Guardians cast. You can find it on the Odyssey app as well as 92.3 The Fan. So I don't want to turn this into a question about the opening weekend. I think this is an overarching question about the entire year. This is the first chance I've had to talk to you since spring training or since the beginning of it. So, Matt, what is your level of concern for the starting rotation?
Well, they had a bad 4 games. I mean, it's one series. You're taking on a Seattle team that is very good.
Well, but I do mean, I don't want to ask it just because of the opening weekend. I mean, overall.
Well, no.
Yeah.
Well, overall, I'm not as concerned as maybe others would be based on the results. I think the rotation's going to be all right. I think Joey Cantillo is a guy that really will step up and be really good. I truly believe that. If he throws strikes, he's got the arsenal. And, I watched him obviously Saturday night, and he's kind of slogged through the start. I know what you're saying, Ken, about the opening weekend. I just want to say something. They all went from pitching in 90 to 100-degree heat in Arizona to that ice box in Seattle that has a roof but still has the windows open, which makes no sense to me. So it was cold. So, the Tanner Bybee injury, let's see today what they say. If he's going to start on Tuesday night, that's a concern, because if Tanner's banged up still and there's more inflammation and he has to go on the IL, there's a major step down between Tanner Bybee and bringing Logan Allen back up, who didn't make the team. But I'm interested in watching Parker Messick pitch tonight. I think he's going to be good. And I like that they went with him over Logan because he had a better spring. And quite honestly, he had a better season last year. Gavin Williams also has a potential to be really good, and at times we saw no-hit stuff last year. So I think the rotation is going to be okay. Is it as good as Detroit's? No. But I think it's going to be all right. And I think that's what this franchise does, is develop pitchers and have them ready. And I know it wasn't a good weekend for the starting staff. It wasn't. But again, last night, Slade Cicconi's out of that inning. If Kafis makes that play, it's not 4-0, it's 0-0. So he didn't get a lot of help last night.
Matt Derry with us right now. Can you talk about the bottom of the order? Obviously, Delauter has made up for a lot of this. If he hadn't done what he had done this opening weekend, I think we would be talking about everybody else. So just how disappointing is it, or is it kind of what you expected?
I mean, look, I'm a Rocchio fan. I like that they like hitting him ninth and having the lineup roll over to Kwan after he hopefully gets on base. I think he's gonna be fine. I truly believe that. But the rest of them, you're right. I mean, we're sitting here again. I know it's only March 30th. We're not even into April yet. But the same stuff that I talked about with you guys last year is here. Bo Naylor not hitting the ball hard. Gabby Arias swinging over everything. It's the same. We've been talking about this for 3 years, and I'm ready for Travis Bazzana now. I get it. Oh, June 1st to May 15th. Got to give him some time. He already has a double and triple at Columbus. He's ready. He was drafted 1-1 for a reason. I'd like to see him now. I think the Arias experiment is over. I don't need to see any more. I get that they like his glove, his arm. They think he'll hit. There's balance because he hits right-handed with the lineup. Bazzana's a left-handed stick, but I've had enough of Arias. I think it's Bazzana time. Maybe I don't know what their plan is. They won't tell us. They don't tell you anything publicly. But I think we're got to get to the point where maybe May 1st, let's get this kid up here. He had a good spring. He's uber talented, and Arias is a backup. He is.
Well, I was going to ask you about C.J. Kafis when George Valera is ready to go. I know he had to start the season on the IL, everything like that, but by the time he's ready to go, because it was an adventure. Saturday, I thought the fourth inning might get away, and I brought this up at the beginning of the show. I thought the fourth inning might get away, and I thought, because for a second I thought C.J. Kafis just trapped that ball. I didn't know he caught it at first, and he's been an adventure. Does he go down when Valera comes up?
I would think so, and my guess is that the reasoning they would say is that you're right. He needs to play every day in the outfield to play the outfield and learn it. He's a first baseman. Mm-hmm. That's the problem. They put him in right field last year, and he wasn't bad when he played out there. He did all right. He made some plays. Last night was, like you said, an adventure. The other night when he ran back and then came back in on the ball to right field that you're talking about, Ken, was an adventure. He's a first baseman by trade. He played first at Miami in college. He played first in the minors here. But right now you've got Manzardo. You've got Rhys Hoskins who had a good weekend. You've got Ralphie Velasquez eventually coming up. So he's going to have to play outfield. And so maybe you're right. When Valera gets healthy, that's probably the guy to go down, and they'll say that he needs reps in the outfield every day and he needs at-bats every day. And they're rotating a lot of different guys. Stephen Vogt played everybody this weekend except Hedges. Everybody else played. He had Angel in center and left. He had Schneemann in center and second and third. This is what Stephen Vogt loves to do. But eventually you got to pick some guys and go with it. And hopefully a couple of these young guys, you throw them against the wall and a few stick where you put them out there every day.
What did you think of, Quan obviously started in left in that first game, but Then later in the game went to center, and he's been center ever since. What do you think of this strategy and how they're going about trying to, transition this in a quick period of time?
Yeah, I'm a fan of Angel Martinez, and I think he can play center, but I think they think their two best center fielders defensively are Schneemann, who is not an everyday player, although he played 3 out of the 4 games, and Kwan. So that means you're right. Your defense in left field goes down without Kwan out there, but yet you feel like in center he can cover everything, and you've got a rookie in right field in Delauter. So I see what they're trying to do. I don't know about the wear and tear on Kwan's body playing center as opposed to left. It might be a little bit more, but I understand what they're trying to do, and I think they feel like Kwan can do it and played it in college. And so let's just see where it goes. But obviously your left field defense last night was hurt by Kwan not being out there, because he would have made that play, and you would have gone to the top of the 5th in a scoreless game.
I have a lot of hope for Cade Smith because I want to move past this Class A greasiness. Is there anything that tells you right now that he could be a lockdown closer for you?
Yeah, I mean, come on, he throws 97, 98. I thought Saturday night when he blew the save, I thought he was throwing well. The one hit that went down the left field line was kind of a squibber that was off the end of the bat, bad luck. Julio Rodriguez, I mean, they were 1 strike away, and Rodriguez kind of took a good pitch, a 97-mile-per-hour heater up and away, and spoiled it. I thought that was a really good piece of hitting. I'm good with Cade Smith in the closer role. I think he'll be fine. I don't know if he'll be as good as Clase. And like you said, I mean, that's another situation for another time. I mean, he'll never pitch again. But they need Hunter Gaddis back healthy. I think the back end of the pen, I'll tell you one thing, and I know he was just kind of in mop-up duty last night, but Peyton Paulette is a keeper.
Mm-hmm.
He's got really good stuff, and I think eventually he will be in high-leverage situations for this team. I think that's a nice pickup. I know a lot of people probably don't even know who that is, but Rule 5 from the White Sox turned him into a reliever as from a starter. I think he's got really good stuff, and that's a nice arm that they've added, but they got to get Gaddis back healthy too.
All right. Chase Delauter, who is his comp? Come on.
We're not doing this.
Yes, we are.
Why are you doing this to yourself? Why are you doing this to yourself after you got ransacked on Twitter? What are you doing?
Because I enjoy the pain.
You really do.
I lean into the pain.
Nothing has changed with you.
I'm here for
Nothing has changed. Anthony, nothing has changed with your partner. He's feeding the beast.
Who are you comparing him to?
On the Guardians Indians history, or just in general?
I was thinking. Well, you can do both, because the reason I was just talking about height when it came to Lonnie Chisenhall, but apparently that part got left out for a lot of folks. So,
they're both first round picks. But remember when Chisenhall was drafted, he was a third baseman.
Mm-hmm.
So it's not like and poor Lonnie was just always injured. So I see what you're saying. I understood it. I don't understand why you get so much shrapnel from the Twitter community, but I guess that's where we are in 2026. The dude's uber talented. He reminds me, oh God, when Jared Kelenic came up with the Mariners, and then it fizzled out, it didn't work. But that's the kind of talent that he has. But he's also 6'4". He's tall like Grady Sizemore. He's got some size to him. He's a total package.
I thought if I said Grady, a lot of people would be mad at me. I didn't realize how mad they were going to be over Lonnie Chisenhall of all people. But I thought if I said Grady, they were going, "What are you expecting? He's going to flame out because of injuries, or what are you expecting?" I go, "That's what I thought." I'm getting beaten up for a totally different reason.
Deshaun or Shador, 216.
No, hey, I want everybody to know Matt brought it up, not me, not Tone. Matt brought it up.
Matt, do you like? I know we got to go. Do you like the strike situation, the ABS? The way it's been handled so far this year?
I love it. And I'm old school, Anthony. I hated replay. I hated extra innings to the ghost runner on second. I was so old school. What are we doing? This ABS challenge system is moving quickly. And the other day, C.B. Buckner, I don't know if you guys saw the Reds and Red Sox highlights.
We just played it,
C.B. Buckner got absolutely exposed. It was embarrassing for baseball. But it's accountability. It shows that Will Little Saturday night was umping the Guardians Mariners. He was fantastic back there, and he got all of his challenges right. He's 4 for 4. Every guy tapped his helmet, or the catcher did that, and nope, Will Little was right. Buckner's wrong every time. So hopefully this continues so that guys like CB Buckner aren't umpiring. I don't play anymore, but I'm fine with it. It's moving quickly, which I think is good.
Matt, thank you very much for the time. All the best to you.
All right, boys. Great to catch up.
Matt Derry on the Make It Right Call Kyle Wright hotline. At Derry Speaks on Twitter, the Derry Brothers Guardians cast, which is on the free Odyssey app, as well as 92.3 The Fan on YouTube Live for absolutely free. You can see it right now. All right, coming up at around 9 o'clock, right at 9, we have a giveaway for the Fan Mock Draft. One team we're giving away for the Fan Mock Draft. It's a lot of fun. You're going to want to win it coming up at 9 o'clock. However, coming up in 5 minutes, Lima wants the ABS system to go even further, and we keep bringing up Miles being traded because we want the Browns to decide if they're growing or they're dying. There's no third direction, and it's coming up in 5 on the Fan. Friends can
Northwest Ohio Fence and Deck. Hey friends, Ken Carman here for NEOFence.com. Aluminum, vinyl, custom wood, chain link fence, and so much more with a 5-year labor warranty on all new installs. NEOFence.com.
Don't trust anybody with your Cavs coverage unless they have sports in their name. We are Sports Radio 92.3 The Fan.
Nine o'clock, your chance to win a team for the 2026 Fan Mock Draft. Get back to Miles coming up here in a bit. However, ABS system taking Major League Baseball by storm. We played that audio at 8 o'clock, or we played that audio at 7:45. If you missed anything on our show, you can use the rewind feature on the free Odyssey app, powered by Integrated Restoration, your local experts in water, fire, and storm disaster restoration. 8:27 and 54 seconds for those scoring at home. The ABS system is fun. We played that Cincinnati snippet a while ago where there were 2 in a row on CB Buckner. The place went bananas when they got both those calls overturned. Lima, you want to take it a step further?
Yeah, I think this has been great theater early on in the season. What I'm wondering is when we get to like game 84 and we're talking about games being won and lost because of the strategy of whether or not the catcher or the pitcher or the batter, made too many challenges or not enough challenges. Like by the end of the year, won't people just be saying, all right, we know that the umping is going to be off. Why don't we just go one step further and because we have the technology, just let the computers call the balls and strikes?
I think that would be a tremendous mistake by Major League Baseball. I don't think that you're going to have a packed stadium in game 84 losing their minds over that, but I still think you're going to have a lot of people getting excited if you have an overturned call on umpires who are missing balls and strikes. I think the human element of it, the anticipation to see whether or not it's a ball or strike, and they do it. They do it pretty quickly. They go through this pretty quickly. It's not like you're awesome waiting around forever like you are in other sports. I think the human element of it, you found a way to fix it. You have found a way to challenge something, to right a wrong, which is something every fan wants to do in pro sports, in any sport, that you have found a way to right a wrong. You found a way to get back at umpires. I think it's the perfect system let up. I'm already a big fan.
But wouldn't the perfect system just be to get the calls right 100% of the time and not have it boil down to if you used up your challenge early?
No.
Like, we have the technology. Why not just institute the technology?
Because that's not entertaining. This is entertaining. It's still an entertainment.
You're admitting it's a gimmick then. So you think baseball should have the gimmick of the umpires screwing up the call?
No, I think that's a terrible way to put it. I think this is a way to. It's not a gimmick. It's a way to right a wrong, and it still is entertaining, and it's still theater.
It is. I agree.
So you have the perfect setup.
But that is, you're basically saying.
Yeah, but when you call it a gimmick, you make me want to sound like I'm talking about baseball being a circus, and that's not what I'm trying to do.
I can't think of a better way to deem it than, yes, this is a new gimmick. Because baseball never had it before.
Don't you run the risk of batters not swinging at balls that fall out of the zone, like breaking balls on an 0-2 pitch and things like that? That a pitcher takes a little more liberty with maybe not being in that tight zone so much. Don't you run the risk of losing those things once you start taking away the human element of whether it was a strike and passing through the zone as a strike or not?
I guess I don't get why it would be any different. Once the computers start calling the balls and strikes, like everybody knows what the zone is.
Because
what does it matter?
I think it changes batters in the way that they, especially when they go into it and go, I don't know if this ump's going to call this pitch. Obviously you have tenths of a second to make these decisions, right? But I think it changes the way batters approach each pitch at the plate, especially depending on where you're at in the strike count and where you're at in the game. Quite frankly, I mean. The Reds challenged these two. It was the 6th inning. If they miss these 2 challenges, they're done. And I think having the challenge system where you can at least lose them later does change how you navigate a game. And it's one of the reasons that the manager's even there, right?
The one where they were 2 in a row with the Reds, like you just spoke about, it was even that much better because the second called strike 3 was even more egregious than the first called strike 3. So you can tell that this annoys some of these guys, especially a guy like CB Buckner, who's completely annoyed that anybody would ever question him, even though people have been questioning him since he first got in Major League Baseball. You could tell that this annoys some of these guys, and that's more part of the fun. And when you use the term gimmick, I know what you're trying to do. It's the same thing when I say nobody uses the term gallivant in a positive light. Nobody really uses the term gimmick in a positive light. I don't think it's just a gimmick. I think it's a way to right a wrong, and I think it's a way to make it more entertaining. And it's made it more entertaining. That was really entertaining.
Yeah, I guess what I'm saying is it absolutely is more entertaining.
So then why would you take something out that's entertaining? What was the point of pro sports to take something out that's entertaining?
We could do a lot of things for entertainment. I could add a moat and alligators, on a basketball court. That would be entertaining. I don't think that would be the best. I got a 50-point basket. That would be entertaining.
The 50-point basket's already been done, and they should bring it back.
And it was entertaining. Damn it, it was. But in the end, I would just think everybody would want the calls to be accurate, and we have a chance to get basically next to 100%. But if you add the challenges, now you're still letting the umpires off the hook. You're still going to have, if a team used up their challenges early, then the bad umping is going to come into play. I thought we were doing everything we could to get rid of that.
We are doing most of what we can do to get rid of bad umping.
So why not take the last step and just make it foolproof?
I don't know. What's more fun? Is it more fun to do what they did over the weekend, or is it more fun to just look at Robotron 8,000?
No, you're fine. But what you're admitting that the gimmick, you're in it more for the entertainment gimmick of it.
But you keep calling it a gimmick. Stop calling it a gimmick. This is legitimate stuff. This is science.
What would be science is just letting the umpires go do everything else except the balls and strikes.
Years is the gimmick.
It's a human sport played by humans. There has to be some human element to it.
There doesn't, though. That's what I'm saying.
You can't just let the overlords take
quite literally
behind the strike zone.
Quite literally,
I didn't realize Lima wanted to turn baseball into 1984.
Quite literally, we don't need to do it. We could just have them call the balls and strikes, and it would be accurate.
And it wouldn't be as fun.
You're right. But we're not going to get the calls right. I thought the goal was to get them all right.
They get the calls right.
But we just said if you're out of challenges, you can't get them right. They're going to go back to the
Then you got to know when to use the challenges. That's part of the strategy. That's part of the fun.
I agree with you.
That's what sports is supposed to be.
I agree with you, but then you are relying on the gimmick of whether or not we use...
Stop calling it a gimmick.
Okay.
Stop calling it a
I don't
gimmick.
have another term for it. I think it most accurately describes what it is.
216-474-0092. Should we just go a step further and just have Robot 3000 being the one that calls the balls and strikes? Should you just do robot umps? Do you not see what I'm talking about here?
He
sees what I'm speaking about. Thank you very much.
But you know I'm right.
Thank you.
We could get it right.
You're not right. You're not right.
Wanting to punch you.
We could absolutely get this right 1,000% of the time.
If I thought you were right,
all I'm thinking of is
I'd agree.
Ken Carman in the playoffs when we're out of challenges going, Lima was right. We should have just done this. Because you are relying on human error.
Which is what we've done for our entire lives.
Right, but that's
so I don't understand the issue with it.
Which is what we tried to legislate out of the game.
I mean, we've talked about
that element.
Okay, we've talked about the 95 World Series, the Kingdom Come.
Do you want the human element or do you not want the human element?
I said I want the human element.
Well,
I've said it a bunch of times.
Let's get rid of ABS.
No, I don't need to get rid of ABS.
We like ABS.
Because it's been a way to make it a little bit better while improving accuracy. This should improve accuracy. This should make it a little bit better.
You got to figure out what side of the fence you want to be on.
So
you like it or you don't like it.
You want to take a sport that has to have a podcast after it called Baseball Isn't Boring to fight that people think the sport is boring, and you want to go back to boring? Because what I saw yesterday was a way to improve calls, was a way to get something right, and was still obviously what I saw over the first weekend was a way to get everybody excited about something that is, by the way, so bleeping boring. They do it in the NBA, and you just want to turn the channel and do anything else other than stare at Tony Brothers staring back at you into the camera.
And if
nobody likes that.
Right, but if computers could fix that.
They look like they're standing at an ATM.
And if computers could fix that and they could get it instantaneously, I'd be for it. Wouldn't you be for it?
No.
Well, wait a second.
I want it as it is right now.
So make up your mind. God,
this
Ken
is perfect.
All over the map.
This is
swinging
perfect.
Back and
the
forth.
The phones aren't being answered right now. That's not perfect. So I can't get anybody else to back me up on this.
We have computers who could answer the phone. We've chosen not to go that way. Kenny now is admitting he would like to get the human element out of screening the phone calls. Champions pose.
Come on. That's ridiculous. I can't throw staplers at a computer, you ass.
So you admit it.
I get in a lot more trouble. No, but I'm saying I have the option to throw a stapler. And if I throw a stapler at you, I just have to deal about a physical fight. But if I throw a stapler at a very expensive piece of equipment, that's a bigger issue for them. Trust me. Keith knows.
Social media reaction brought to you by Scheiben Jewelers.
Oh, God.
Let's do it together.
Scheiben Jewelers, Cleveland's premier jewelry store.
Mess that up.
Taylor Tolliver says, I don't get what Ken is thinking. You have a chance to get 100% of the calls correct. And he's like, no, stupidity.
Make them. I don't know. If you don't understand what I'm saying, then I'm sorry. I guess you just want to be bored. I guess you just want to be bored by a sport that you guys all try to convince me, which is baseball, archaic. They brought it back. They brought it into the 21st century. This is the best of both worlds. How can you people not see this other than you're trying to troll me? This is fantastic. How is this bad? I don't understand how this is bad.
Here's what I'm going to say, and you have to don't blow your top before I finish my sentence. Ken, you're wrong, and I agree with you. I don't want the robot umps to be full-time either. I don't want them calling every pitch either, but it'd be 100% accurate. But that's not what I'm in it for. I'm not in it for fairness and justice and accuracy. I'm in it to be entertained. It's entertainment.
Thank you.
I would like to be entertained by it.
Thank you.
Robot umpires are not entertaining.
All it is just a traffic camera, and everybody hates traffic cameras. So why would they not? Why would they like this? You have a perfect way to bring the human element into things and have a discussion on whether something's right or wrong and whether it's worth risking it. It's what every sitcom. It's what every primetime drama has ever been written about in the history of television. And we just found this perfect system over the first weekend here, which I'm sure there's some imperfections to it, but I haven't found them just yet. And you want to get rid of it already, or go the step further to make it the most boring it possibly can be. I totally disagree. 216-474-0092. All right, we do got people who want to get in on this. If you guys think I'm full of it, fine. I'll get to you guys. And did Andrew Berry tip his hand yesterday that the Browns are fine not winning? Lima heard a little bit of audio here, what Andrew Berry said, where kind of got his ears perked up, and maybe me too. Ken Carman, Anthony Lima on the Fan.
Anthony.
The game's not over. Mold grows inside walls weeks after the water's gone, and most homeowners never see it coming. Don't let hidden damage bench your home. Integrated Restoration, your local experts in mold remediation and disaster restoration. IntegratedRestoration.us.
There's Cavs and there's NBA news that happens while you're at work. Baskin and Phelps, weekday mornings starting at 10.
I didn't realize we were going to have a knockdown drag out over this, but this is fun.
I kind of knew we would.
Did you?
Yeah, because I mentioned it yesterday on the phone with you, and I could just tell by your tone immediately, and I'm like...
Yeah, because I got quiet and I started writing things down.
Yeah, I knew.
Yeah, I got quiet, started writing things down. Which are plenty of people who say that you're right, and there's plenty of people who go, yeah, Lima's right, but I agree with Ken. Yes, it would be much more efficient to call balls and strikes by a robot. If you want a Robotron 8000 to call balls and strikes, there's a system they could do it. But it's the same thing as a traffic cam. And you can't go back on a traffic cam. How many people would love to have a conversation about that? Here, I can appeal. It's my choice. I can appeal, and I lose my appeals, and then I lose them all for the game. I have to make a right choice. It brings in strategy. It's more strategy. It opens to more conversation. It opens to another thing that we can judge a manager for, judge a hitter for, judge anybody for. We can do all this, and it's a thing where if you hated the umps that much, and most people don't like them, if you hated the umps that much, you can go after them for their missed call if they get it wrong. That it was the perfect scenario that played out in that Reds game.
Yeah. So here's why I used the term that Ken hated so much.
You called it gimmick, and I knew why you said it.
Gimmick was because
you wanted to dump on it.
It is entertaining. This newfound thing that did not exist 5 minutes ago is now getting people on their feet and cheering and going nuts. And it didn't exist 5 minutes ago. That to me is the epitome of a gimmick, because this strategy of, I don't know whether or not to use my challenge or not, but if I get it wrong, it's gone. If I miss two of them, it's just gone for the rest of the game. So now the umpire can go back to being really bad, and I can't do anything about it. You're right. That's awesome strategy, and that is awesome in terms of fans getting ready to go nuts as if their team just hit a home run. But it also is now, again, going against what we're trying to accomplish, which was to just get it right the most optimal amount of times.
I think they are trying to get it right the most optimal amount of times, are they not? I don't think an umpire wants to get it wrong. Not when the
challenges are gone. What I mean is,
but that doesn't give you...
The whole point of this was to legislate getting the calls right. But now for the 7th, 8th, and 9th inning, we're not going to go back to getting the calls right. We're going to go back to human error.
Does the other team not have challenges as well?
No, I'm saying for your team.
But I'm talking about both teams. So if another team has a challenge, they get to use their challenges.
Sure.
You're out.
But you're not going to challenge a bad call that could help the other team.
Well, no, you're not. But
that would be hilarious.
But that's part.
You know what? It would be right. We still have our challenges. We're going to play the game the right way.
That's not what I'm pointing out.
We want ethical baseball. We're going to loan you a challenge.
That's not what I'm saying.
Now, if you can loan a team a challenge for a base runner, now we're trading. Now I like the barter system.
That's not what I'm saying.
Now we're on to a gimmick.
That's not what I'm saying.
That could help.
Okay. Did you get it all out of here, or do you got to keep going so I can explain this even better?
Owen likes my idea.
Don't encourage this stupidity. Yeah, don't encourage this. This is asinine.
If we were in a bar on a Friday night, Anthony, I would physically be in your face.
Would be a fist fight?
But if you what I was trying to get through before you did what you do and stole it from me and bastardized it, is the other team has their challenges. You've used your challenges. Now I can get mad at Stephen Vogt for a completely different set of reasons. I don't want to be mad at Stephen Vogt, but usually managers are there for you to either agree with or most of the time get mad about.
Why should I be mad at Vogt and not the umpire? The umpire is the one that screwed up the call.
You can be mad at both. You can be mad at both.
That's why I do like having the umpires, because it gives you a chance to be upset at a situation without being mad at.
That's not your guy?
Yeah. It's the same thing in football. We get mad at the umps or we get mad at the refs.
Everybody need them.
Yes, and when you use your challenges at the wrong time, in an inopportune time, and maybe this is either a ball or a strike. So there's no wiggle room. There's no interpretation like you might have with other judgments in the NFL. But when it comes to something like this, like, well, you used them back in the first inning because for whatever reason you felt you just had to get the leadoff hitter aboard. And now here we are in the 7th when you could really use them. Like, that was worth it. It's 5-3. Geno Suarez is up. 5-3. There's 2 in a row. that are walk-off strike 3 calls. Bases are loaded, by the way. They're leading by 2. Suarez has a chance to knock that game wide open with a base hit. Wide open and finish it off for the Reds. That is the perfect time for bottom of the 6th. Perfect strategy. That's what makes it fun. Take all that away? No, come on. Demos and Shaker, you're next up on the Fan.
Good morning.
Hi.
So, it's not like the ump only calls balls and strikes, okay? So, look, I'm cynical. I like to think that the world is against Cleveland and this and that. So I'm glad that it eliminates that element of bias that might be there. Maybe not. But, look, you still need – was there a checked swing? Was there a foul tip? Did a fielder interfere with a runner? There's all kinds of stuff. The ump still has to be there to kind of manage this whole process. So, it's a change in the game. But, it's just funny listening to Anthony. It's like he's the kind of guy that likes to, push somebody's bruise, where he finds one thing and he sees that little bruise and he pushes it on you, Ken, and it, hurts right because it's right there. And you got to look at this in a bigger way. This is a huge improvement to the game.
Yep.
And any refs, umps, that are just horrible umps. And there was that one guy that retired a couple years ago. I forget his
Angel Hernandez.
name right now. Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
And it's like all of a sudden, people like him are getting graded by a system that shows somebody who's just inaccurate. And so
in
why
real time,
wouldn't you, as a Cleveland fan, why wouldn't you accept an improvement that at least should help everyone equally, but in my mind help Cleveland more because of my perceived bias against Cleveland?
Completely agree, Demos. Thank you very much for the call.
I agree with everything you said, too. I like this as an improvement. Now I'm saying let's just make it perfect, which I think you can. And then, you'd still have an umpire.
But
when I say the robot umps, you're still going to have a guy there. Yeah. He's just not going to call balls.
Nobody's going to call the out at the plate on a play at home and all
but
that.
at the same,
and the foul tips and all that, that's fine.
I mean, listen, man, unless I'll just full on admit to you. There's a lot of times, and this is what they're trying to avoid. There's a lot of times, if I'm watching the Cavs are a different animal. I'm going to watch the Cavs to completion, okay? But there's a lot of games that are on in the NBA that I'll leave on, and it's the final minute, and those refs are back to the table having this discussion. Well, we got this, and it just bogs it down, and it sucks, and it makes it less fun. Now, I understand that this would cut out time, so I'm not arguing that it would cost more time in baseball. That's not it. But this is done quickly. It invites conversation. It invites strategy, to where basketball, it really doesn't. It really, really doesn't at the end. And those things take forever at the final minute, to the point where if it's not a 1-possession game or a 2-possession game and they're still going to the table with 48 seconds left, and this is the 3rd time they've done it, I'm turning the channel, man. I'm done. I'm done.
I think the NBA needs to get a hold of it. There's a lot of stuff they need to fix. NFL, I think more and more, we don't need to go to the guys on the field going over to a monitor. You could just have New York do it. The problem is you're seeing these games are really hard to officiate, in basketball and in football. So you can look at something 1,000 times and it's a 50-50 call and you don't know which way to go.
Yeah.
Baseball, we now have, with the accurate measurements of all the players, we have it instantly. It's either a ball or a strike. We don't need to have lengthy reviews, and that's the good thing about ABS is that we don't need to even really have reviews at all. We can just get it right immediately.
All right. 5 minutes away. Did Andrew Berry tip his hand on what he expects out of the Browns this year? Lima might have thought he did in his press conference. And I'd rather win less with Shador than more with Deshaun. I'm so nervous about giving that take, I almost messed it up. That coming up later on the Fan.
It's
sports news every 20 minutes right here on 92.3 The Fan. From the University Hospital Sports Desk, I'm Jeff Thomas.
You can now watch The Fan live on YouTube. Catch The Ken Carman Show with Anthony Lima from 6 till 10 a.m. Baskin and Phelps 10 a.m. till 2 p.m. And Afternoon Drive with Nick Wilson and Jonathan Peterlin from 2 to 7 p.m. Each and every weekday. It's free. Subscribe to 92.3 The Fan on YouTube.
Contest time. This one's fun. Throw it out there,
as opposed to the other bad ones that are not fun. 92.3 The Fan is looking for a winner. Right now, we'll take the fourth caller at 216-474-0092. And you get to be named GM of one of the 32 NFL picks at our celebrated annual Mock Draft 2026 edition. April 16th, it's at Game On, located on Lorraine Road in North Olmsted. Ooh, Kenny, West Side. I might have to make a quick trip down there to enjoy the mock draft. You also get some exclusive Bud Light swag and a buffet dinner at the event. Must be food as well.
There's food.
No,
Yeah, you get a buffet.
Can I bring Mason? Must be 21 or older. Fourth caller, 216-474.
Mason's not 21.
0092.
Well, you can go to Game On. You just can't win the prize.
You want to go to the Fan Mock Draft, 216-474-0092. What caller did you say?
4.
Caller number 4, 216-474-0092. Now remember, the Fan Mock Draft, before we get back into the Miles stuff and all the other crap, the Fan Mock Draft is a lot of fun. There were a lot of people who saw the pictures of the Fan Mock Draft last year and went crazy on the internet. It's going, no, guys, don't be afraid of that. It's fun. It is fun. Fun and frivolity for everybody. So I don't know what team you're about to get, but damn it, you're going to want to be there because it's over there. You said North Olmsted, Lorraine Road, North Olmsted,
Yep.
Game On. It's going to be a fun time for everybody. It's fun every single year. Which one do you want me to get to, Owen?
I want you to go to line 1.
All right.
I don't know why we have multiple people.
Well, he's going to keep taking them like that. He's just he doesn't know what he's young. It's okay. We have Greg in Cleveland. Greg, congratulations. You were the fourth caller. Hello.
Hello.
It's wonderful to speak to you.
Great to speak to you, Ken.
Are you ready for your team?
Sure, I am.
All right, Tone, you have put the bowl close to the mic so they can hear you fishing it around.
I just want
video. Go to YouTube.
I wanted the cameras to see that I'm shuffling.
There you go.
I'm doing the shuffle of all 32 first-round picks. Remember, the Browns are in there twice.
Oh, boy.
Could you end up with one of them? Oh, here we go. I'm going to pick it right now.
Wait,
one fell out. Do I pick that one? One fell out.
Hold on. Let's not make this harder than what it needs to be.
Well, we already have an issue.
Pick it up and put it back in the bowl.
This would not be a problem if we had automated bowl picking.
That's right.
Okay, Rod Roddy was able to do this for years, and all of a sudden
Roddy just told people to come on down.
Oh, you don't think that was his only job, please?
Yes.
Now, I have seen a lot of Bob Barker videos of late. I don't know if they're real or fake. One of them, he starts eating some of the contestants, so I don't know anymore. I get duped a lot.
I thought you were talking about the clip going
You're
around.
going to give Greg his team.
Okay,
give Greg his team.
Thank you.
his pick.
Here we go. And I am unveiling Greg's pick for the official 2026 mock draft at Game On. It is the Minnesota Vikings at 18.
All right.
There you go.
Greg, congratulations.
Put him back up.
Hey, thank you.
All right, going to put you on hold. Greg is going to be going to Game On.
I thought we'd allow
on
a
Lorraine
comment.
Road.
No comment.
In North Olmsted.
Comment.
All right, well, there's plenty of time to get other teams.
Everyone there is going to trade their pick to the Browns.
That's true. That has happened a lot.
Don't give them ideas.
In mock draft history.
No, don't do it. Please, no.
Will somebody potentially pose a Myles Garrett trade on draft night? Whoa.
Oh, people trade beers for this stuff. I saw a bucket of beer get traded for the first overall pick
I
before.
want 5 beers for mine, but they haven't allowed that yet.
Well, if Andrew Berry gets his way, you're going to get 5 beers for your pick. Speaking of Andrew Berry, he spoke yesterday. All right, let's do this first with Myles Garrett. And are you trading Myles? He goes, no, he's a Brown for life.
Myles is a career Brown. He is one of the faces of our organization. I think we've been very clear, both past and present, in terms of our feelings on it. So I understand all the questions. I'll be honest, I don't really want to waste a ton more breath on the topic.
He understands the questions because he knows the team ain't good. So he understands. I don't think we should talk about it all the time because I think it's just dour and it's sad. You're talking about one of the greatest Cleveland Browns of all time. It's a killjoy, man. Good God, it's March 30th. And if you were to really trade Myles Garrett now, the season's done. Right? Does anybody think we would do anything without Myles Garrett?
Outside of just Shedeur taking the leap in year number 2.
Exactly. So if you traded him now, the season's over. That all pointed out, all right, let's look at this realistically here. A lot of people are accusing Andrew Berry of lying to the media, lying to Browns fans. It's not about lying. You know, I'm sure he wakes up in the morning thinking that Myles Garrett is going to be a Cleveland Brown for the rest of his career. And then if Nick Caserio calls him up and wants to give him something completely outrageous for Myles Garrett, then maybe we'll talk turkey. I think that's the way he thinks. I don't think he's lying to anybody, but I also know that the reason he keeps being asked, and I know that I'm getting tired of it too, it's because you're not good and you're not expected to be good. And so as long as you're not expected to be good, fans want to see whether or not you're growing or you're dying. And as of right now, it would feel like, hey, you can't say you're going to win anything without Myles Garrett, but you're not really winning much with Myles Garrett. And if you're not winning much with Myles Garrett, then why are we just going through the motions of the year? Why aren't we coming up with something that's really going to make it better? Because I could sit here and go, guys, you ain't going to get a lot of excitement for opening night or anything like that without Myles Garrett on the team this year. Yeah, but if you end up with 3 first-round picks or something like that crazy next year, and you have a quarterback class, like, yeah, that's the way that a lot of people are going to think about it, Tone.
It is. Obviously, you're right. Like, the moment you were to ever actually consummate, hey, Myles Garrett trade, you know, we're going to have full lines, all fire everybody, not renewing my season tickets. You know, I'm doing all that. And the Browns would obviously have to sign off on that. You know, Jimmy Haslam wouldn't know the type of consternation that was going to come in from every angle. And it would be rough. It would be a rough go. The season ticket office, that would be a rough one. You'd probably tell those guys to go on vacation for a little bit. And then, you know, your only excitement would really be derived from what new receiver you pick up and whether or not Shedeur has made a leap and whether Judkins can come back from the injury. Fannin, like, there still would be, because it's the NFL, you'd still have things people care about. But as far as going into the season, that's it. Because Myles Garrett was such a cheat code. I mean, he single-handedly won those last 2 games of the year against Cincinnati and Pittsburgh just by showing up to the building. Like, showing up to the stadium on Sunday. They won those games. That's the fear of God that the other teams had. Aaron Rodgers refused to play normal football for an entire football game because he didn't want to end up, you know, on a highlight reel and in the graveyard of Myles Garrett come Halloween time. Like, think about the profound impact. We all know how good he is. And so to not have that, you know, a lot of fans, it would just be a mutiny. You know, for others, they'd say, well, at least they understand where they're going with it, but that's certainly not going to help them and their excitement levels for this season.
But also, I would argue if you can get anything going offensively, him being on the field changes you dramatically for this year. If you could get anything offensively. So I've kind of kicked this around, and I told you at the beginning of the show, I talked to a Browns podcast Saturday, right? Then we're getting ready for the draft, and they go, can you come on? Yeah, of course I'll come on. Yeah, fine. And usually I try not to do Saturdays, but hey, they've been asking, I did it. Wonderful people. And I started to explain, and I kind of talked myself into it a little bit because I get excited about this stuff. What could they do in 2026? And if you've signed 4 free agents across the offensive line, you know I'm nervous about something like that. So I'm going to pull back and say, you got to show me, right? But the way they could be looking at this is that if they draft I'm going to put a name to it, Carnell Tate, number 6. Say they draft Carnell Tate. Well, Carnell Tate, what he's expected to do as a 6th overall pick is bring some respectability to the defense that has to cover it, meaning that you have to now watch where 17 is, and even he, if he's not open, he could still create opportunities for Harold Fanta Jr., for Jerry Jeudy, for Isaiah Bond, I know, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. He could also create opportunities to open up running lanes for Quinshon Judkins and Dylan Sampson, because now you can't just load up 8 in the box to go up against your offense because you have number 17 on the field. You have Carnell Tate out there in the field. So that being said, I think that that's kind of the way Andrew Berry thinks about it. So no, I don't think he's going to be traded. I'm becoming more and more convinced that it's going to be wide receiver at 6. They want to try to open this offense up. They believe that will do so. It might not be the building blocks of success the way I see it, but fine. That's the way they're going to do it. So, no, you wouldn't trade Myles Garrett then, because if you expect to be from winning 5 games to with your strength of schedule to with your quarterback, and I know we just had this quarterback situation here earlier today, your quarterback's supposed to take it from 5 wins to 8 wins to 9 wins. Maybe you're laughing by the end of all this. And if you're a 9-win team this year, which seems to be pretty crazy, but that's got to be the way they're thinking of it if they're not moving on from, if they're an 8 to 9-win team this coming year, then you're expecting to be better in 2027. So then why would you trade Myles Garrett? Why would you?
Yeah, I mean, the big part of the Myles Garrett trade is, I feel like, has now just almost become common sense, is the minute you trade him, your team gets worse, so you have a much better shot to finish top 3 in the draft that everybody's going to be trying to finish top 3. And then you get all the draft picks as well to go along with it. So more attempts at the dartboard.
And if you wanted to trade him, you could turn right around and go, well, Kenny, you could end up winning 8-9 games in 2027 regardless. And I would say, yeah, that's a great point. And you would have young guys, but you have to take guys that you're expecting to be able to eventually replace Myles Garrett. And so it's like a 2-for-1 because Myles Garrett beats 2 guys all the time. So it's 2 guys. Can they replicate?
Well, he doesn't
what
beat
Myles
a good
Garrett
quarterback. Myles Garrett does not beat. If you land that big quarterback and you've got your franchise guy for the next, who knows how many years, that's still going to be better than Myles, which is crazy thinking of how impactful Myles is. And the best defensive player I've seen for the Browns and maybe in the NFL over the course of my lifetime. I know Reggie White would like a word, but holy cow.
This is why
you get a quarterback right, that changes everything.
But this is exactly why you're right. This is exactly why, though, I think we're in a rock and a hard place. Everybody keeps bringing up, well, Myles has a no-trade clause. Why you keep... First off, no one's going to want to care about the no-trade clause because nobody who's trading for him is a bad team. Mm-hmm. So it's only going to be a good team trying to trade for Myles Garrett because they can only be willing to give up the exorbitant price you would want back for Myles Garrett. So it's not going to be any bad team that needs draft picks.
The no trade, right?
Exactly. So he has to waive that. But it's not just that. It's that Andrew Berry believes, whether I agree with him or not, or you guys, that he has a vision here. You would be cutting off your own shoes for this season, and you would make yourself a lame duck general manager going into this year to make the trade. And let's be honest, if we're talking about 2 first-round picks before, I think a lot of people think Myles Garrett is more worth than that, or worth more than that. So, yeah, it becomes very, very hard to move on from. So I can't believe everything that comes out of general manager's mouth about trading a guy who's the best player on the football team that's won 8 games in the last 2 years. I'm not going to say I believe Andrew Berry, which might be a problem. But I think that he believes that the most prudent move right now until somebody comes to him with an obscene price that none of us can even say off the top of our heads, yeah, Myles Garrett's going to be a Cleveland Brown. But it is I know what you said about you didn't see him being a Brown in 2 years. I do think it's a year-by-year basis. Because even if you do move on from Andrew Berry, I think a new general manager comes in. It goes with what you said. It's a year-to-year thing with Myles. But I can't keep bringing it up in late March. It's just a killer for the fan base. 216-474-0092. All right, coming up in 5 minutes. Yeah, I'd rather win 7 with Shedeur than 9 with Deshaun. Let me explain. Ken Carman, Anthony Lima, live on the Fan.
UConn over Notre Dame 70-52. UCLA beat Duke 70-58. Listen to The Fan Rewind weeknights 11 to midnight. All the best segments from all our shows can always listen on the Odyssey app. Headline sports news every 20 minutes right here on 92.3 The Fan. From the University Hospital Sports Desk, I'm Jeff Thomas.
Well, a lot of people just seem to disagree with me and say I better get ready for Myles Garrett to be traded. Okay. What? You agree with him? You guys agree with him? A lot of people in the mentions going, Ken, you're fighting a fight that doesn't need to be fought. Just let it go. I think that there might be some apathy out there with some fans, but
that's probably what a lot of that is. That kind of sentiment. I
mean, come on, do you not have a chance? I'm going to try to talk you into something that's not real here. Hold on. Do you not think that there's a chance that they could be maybe a little bit surprising this year? Is there any chance they could be a little surprised?
Of course, it's the NFL.
Okay, well, you completely spiked that chance without Myles Garrett.
But when I say that, that's the same chance I give every team to have a good year the following year when no one's expecting it. So it's not really rooted in anything.
But I know,
every team in the NFL has a delusional part of their fan base is like, why not us this year?
Yes,
it's also the scheduling.
And the schedule,
Well, all the fours play each other, so eventually one of those fours is going to beat all the other fours, right?
I'm not asking you to agree with anybody who's on the other side of reality. But I can guarantee, because there are people who do have an outside thought that maybe, if things go well and Todd Monken makes this big of a change and maybe those free agents are, they start to talk themselves in it. Maybe they can be a little bit better than what they've been in the past. Okay. But I think there's only, if you're founded anything in realism, the realistic thing would be, you ain't got Myles Garrett anymore. No, it would cast a pall over the fan base. I think it would cast a pall over the organization. It would cast a pall over the locker room, and it would certainly not be good for Todd Monken's season as a head coach in the NFL. And it wouldn't be good for his future either. Like, all that needs to be taken into account before you accept anything about Myles Garrett. And one of these teams has to come up with something that is going to really change your thinking. Because I think you want to go into it. Andrew Berry's supposed to be open to everything. And people are saying he's lying. He's not lying. I think you need to go into this with the thought of, my arms are crossed. I'm doing nothing to move this guy. Because you want everybody to know that you are not moving him unless you come up with something that's almost unrealistic. Because he's that good of a player, and there are so many bad things that are going to happen right now if you were to trade him. Which there's something else that we could be talking about in the future. Did Andrew Berry tip his hand a little bit in what he expects out of this Browns football team? Lima thinks yes, because of an answer not about bringing in any quarterback, bringing in a young quarterback.
I think you can understand we wouldn't necessarily comment on specific prospects. We have spent time with Ty. I think that's obvious, and we'll continue to do so. But I think he has a bright NFL future.
So in this clip fully, they had said that he is not planning on bringing in a veteran quarterback. And if anybody, it would be a young quarterback. And you took that as what?
That they are A-okay with being really bad this year. And what I mean by that is, of course, if Shedeur, makes the leap that we're talking about and jives with Monken and all of that, then of course they'll take the wins if they come, because it means your quarterback is really good. But I thought all along they would be bringing in, probably a veteran QB to stabilize things if things go south right away. If they start out 1-5 and who knows what Watson, how healthy he'll be, how much they're realistically going to give him a shot. Then if you had like a Marcus Mariota, not that he's good, but that he still is capable of coming in and just holding the fort down.
Here's the full clip of what Berry said. If Chase Delauter can just say, now doggone it, now we can, how you guys are making fun of me here.
You always want to be flexible because you don't know how circumstances change or what opportunities come your way. Our lean would be, if we do add someone to the quarterback room, it would be someone who's a younger player most likely. But I can't state that definitively because I don't know what the next couple of weeks will hold. Anyone that we bring in at any spot on the roster, our thought is that they are competing. They're competing to play. They have something that we like in their skill set, and our expectation would be for them to work harder.
So I agree with him. I would rather just go young if you really wanted to bring somebody in. I don't think I'd bring in anybody this year. If you did, I'd say, okay, can I get a 7th rounder for Dylan Gabriel, maybe a 6th? I mean, the touchdown interception ratio, maybe that gets me to the 6th round for Dylan Gabriel. I'm serious. Maybe it does. Maybe it doesn't. So you bring in another young QB. Maybe you trade away Dylan Gabriel. Fine. If you have 2 young QBs there, one's I'm hoping to start the season with Shedeur. Then I got Deshaun Watson. We'll see where it goes. I actually think I agree with you here because if they had a real problem with that, it would go right into what we were talking about with going after one of those veterans that we argued about every single day last month about which veteran would we go after, and it turned out that none of them wanted to even be here. So a young guy, a drafted guy, really doesn't have much of a choice. And he has not much of a choice other than to learn from you. I think it'd be a way to keep some people interested, even if you had to break that glass and go to the young guy, which any young guy who gets drafted by the Browns, you're probably going to end up playing in that first season. This is why I say I'd rather win 7 with Shedeur than 9 with Deshaun. Because I don't think Deshaun's got what it takes to lead you to the promised land. I don't think Deshaun has what it really takes to lead you back to the playoffs. If I win 9 games with Deshaun, now you win 10 or 11 or 12, that's different, but I don't think you can get to that level. You win 9 games with Deshaun, all I'm doing is muddying the water for the future. I win 7 with Shedeur, that water can get muddy still. But I can also go, okay, do I have to go crazy and do everything for a quarterback? Or if I've won 7 games, I know they're only playing the 4s. I know that their strength of schedule isn't that good. But if I win 7 games, maybe 8 games with Shedeur, can I make an argument that maybe we have found a quarterback that maybe not our quarterback altogether, but certainly is looking a hell of a lot better and might show some promise for 2027?
Yeah, you'd have excitement there, depending on if it's just the defense carrying, like they did the final 2 games of the year when he didn't even play well and they won, or is it Shedeur is legitimately the reason they're winning games and he's making plays, which we've seen him capable of making those plays. But yeah, I mean, both examples, you're stuck in the middle, which is not the place to be with the draft coming up, but you can at least sell your fans on, hey, we're getting better. We're showing improvement. We'll kind of doom you again in taking a quarterback in the next draft. So that would be the one thing where I think...
Well, I thought you pounced on me for that statement. You're really not.
Well, I wonder if you were to poll people and were trying to take the emotions of an actual season away, whether they would just rather be bad with both of them. Like, just be bad and get it over with and move on from both these guys. But if you're just good enough, it creates that ultimate dilemma as you're not only kind of in the middle, but now you have to make a commitment to these guys of at least another year for Shedeur or a new contract with Deshaun.
We'd love it to be either really, really bad with one of the two or really, really good with one of the two. That would make things easiest.
Oh, yeah.
But it very rarely does life work out that way. You still have a lot of things that you need that you cannot really address until however they want to see how they address it this year, but you still have things that you need that you're probably not going to be able to address until 2027 and even beyond. And then by that time, we're talking about defense again and who to address on defense as well. So there's things that you have to always be working on. You would have to discover whether or not you think that Shedeur Sanders, if he were to win 7 games this year, would be a guy you could work with in the future. But Deshaun winning 9 games, there's just a lot about it I don't want to see. There's a lot about it I don't even want to entertain.
Yeah.
Because he opens up. It's not even about the conversations that we have. Some of you guys think I'm pussyfooting around and being a total baby about these conversations. I had to have these conversations for an entire year and a half. If I have to have the conversations again, I'll have the conversations again. I just want what's best because it's not just the conversations. It's a total bowl of wax that I have to sift through to find anything good if he just comes in here and he wins 8 games for the Cleveland Browns. That would be the worst possible scenario for everything. Shedeur wins 8 games, let's have a conversation. Deshaun wins 8 games or 9 games, well, you got a whole big mess of problems on your hands.
I would have to see Watson not just show glimpses. I would have to see a lot more than that of like 2019. And think about the year I just used. We're in 2026.
Exactly.
I would have to see the brilliance that he brought to the table in those first, 4 or 5 years. And we haven't seen anything remotely like that. As far as Shedeur, I do think, had they have even gotten average quarterback play last year, that team wins easily, especially with some of the games they lost. What did we lose to the Jets?
We lost to the Jets and we lost to the Titans on special teams.
Right. Had you have even had average quarterback play last year, you would have won 9 games or close to it, right? So that's not necessarily.
Can I count Minnesota?
That's not even. Yes. So that's not even necessarily an endorsement for Shedeur. That's just average quarterback play. Now that's a huge step up from what we've had, but average quarterback play also presents its own unique set of problems as well. Because your goal, obviously, is to get much better than average. Because average is not really moving the needle in terms of changing the franchise around. It's still better than where we've been.
That's true. 216-474.
Like, I need to see a ceiling there. I need to see that, okay, Shedeur was an average quarterback this year, but you can see he's taking off. If it looks like you're capped at average, then I think you're in a really tough spot.
How do I figure out what I'm...
Yeah, it's tough. Yeah, I mean, it's all... like, if he has all day to throw, if the offensive line is fixed and he's still only average, then I'd be like, ooh, he's kind of looking like a 5th-round pick.
Well, exactly. Winning a handful of games with Shedeur and winning a handful of games with Watson are two totally different things. Either, A, with Watson, you're looking for ways to get out of the contract. You're looking for ways to move him on. With Shedeur, you win 7 to 8 games with Shedeur, then it becomes he has a massive fan base, and there's going to be a lot of people thinking that you found your guy. And I don't know if we're going to be out. You can win 7, 8 games in this league with mediocre quarterback play. I can't guarantee. And I've liked his dad.
I saw Mitch Trubisky win of 11 of 15 one year.
Yeah.
So it's not just wins. You can't just look at the wins. You got to be a savvy ball knower, Ken.
Let me get to Paul in Canton. You're next up on the Fan. Hello, Paul.
Hello, guys. Hey, as in quickly for the quarterback situation, Shedeur, it's not about average quarterback play. As I said, I don't think we had the worst quarterback situation. We had the worst situation quarterback for a quarterback. Did you have average supporting cast? You saw what Flacco did in Cincinnati. We didn't even have an average supporting cast for him. So,
sure, but you could tell. I agree with you, Paul. But you could tell after a few games in Cincinnati, Flacco's still not good enough. Like they elevated supporting cast. He had that amazing. What was it? A Monday night game or a Thursday night game? We all saw it. We all lost our minds. And then he played more games, and you're like, yeah, you don't want Joe Flacco.
That game against Pittsburgh after that was just awful.
Like, you don't want him starting. You could see that, okay, you've elevated everything around him, and he's still not good enough. So that's what we have to come to terms with and try to figure out.
Yeah, true, but he looked a whole lot better than when he was here.
He did.
And that was kind of like surreal, as in, he looked better. He looked like what he is. But as in the Myles Garrett thing, I think if you actually move Myles Garrett, you hurt yourself now and in the future, because you really want to see what the defense looks like with probably the best defensive player in history. You want to see what that defense really looked like without having to have somebody triple team and double team. You replace you trade him. Okay, is it going to take 3 or 4 moving people up 3 or 4 levels? Or not levels, but, just 3 or 4 better players to get his production. And then, you have a softer schedule. You have, the rookies will have a little bit more experience. And as long as the O-line and the wide receivers and the running game ain't dead last in rankings, as long as they're not dead last, you have a chance. This division is up for the grabs, whether you know it or not. And the only thing, this is how I actually feel. I feel the same way about Joe Thomas. I would not have traded Joe Thomas. That's why I wouldn't trade Myles Garrett. They're not the problems. They're part of the solution. And this division has not horrible, but it has bad foundational situations. The only thing that could be the scary part is Lamar Jackson having his Lamar Jackson year, which is he has an off year, which was last year. Then he comes back 40 touchdowns, 1,200 yards rushing, whatever, and then go out in the first or second round. But that's it. Other than that, it's up for the grabs here. A just okay quarterback play can actually get you probably the division.
Well, what I'm trying to avoid, and a lot of this, Paul, I agree with, because this is what I'm trying to avoid, and thank you very much for the call. For a lot of these teams, all their best ideas comes with getting worse. The Jets do this all the time. Oh, the Jets had a great draft, and then 2 years later they trade away all the great players they drafted. And then they had another great draft. Then 2 years after that, they trade away all the great players they draft because they want to have more draft picks. It's a perpetual cycle of terrible. And we are in a bad cycle of terrible, obviously, but I don't want to keep having to do what's for the future when I have the present here.
Sure, although I will
if
say...
somebody makes me an offer I can't refuse, I do what I do. But
I just watched a Super Bowl and two teams that went on dramatic, unbelievable defensive runs. They did not have that elite pass rusher. They did it by committee. There are different ways to play great defense in the NFL.
Cavs led the Heat by as much as 36 on Friday, and that still wasn't good enough for most, and Lima's real mad. Ken Carman, Anthony Lima, that and 5 on the Fan.
days on the Hyundai Tucson, Tucson Hybrid, Santa Fe, or Santa Fe Hybrid. Now, during the Hyundai Getaway Sales Event. Hurry, offer ends March 31st. Call 562-314-4603 for details.
Spend your spring break with Cleveland's Sports Radio. 92.3 The Fan.
I just gave Lima some real bad news about driving through the borough. Oh, boy.
I drove right by Ken's house in the last 2 years like 12 times.
Oh, you better pack your patience.
I drove there Friday night and Saturday night. Saturday we came back from Kent, and I almost ran into a barrel turning off at 43. It was bad.
Yeah.
Oh, boy.
Well, it's. I didn't realize they were taking it down to one lane each way.
It was right at dusk. It was the worst possible time to do it.
This is going to be a serious headache for everybody involved. You got to understand, it's the main artery from 80 to 76. It's the only main road through Portage County. And at traffic time, I'm telling you right now, those lights and how everything is, I mean, it is Times Square on 14 from about 2 o'clock to 6:30 every single day. Any person who has to get to 76 or in or out of Portage County is on that road. And it's going to be horrific. They got to do what they got to do. It's in bad shape. They got to fix it. But, oh, my goodness gracious. Oh, you guys are in. I'm in for hell every day. I'll eventually get used to it. You two, you guys better pack your patience or find a different route. Which I think there is a different route, but it actually takes longer. But it might be better than sitting in traffic like this. Oh, boy. All right, Cavs. The Cavs won on Friday. They led by as many as 36. Still wasn't good enough for everybody. This Cavs conversation brought to you by the fine folks at Surfside Hard Iced Tea, who ask you to please enjoy your Surfside Hard Iced Tea responsibly. Lima is mad. Lima, take it away.
Well, I'm very mad at the sentiment. Like,
I love it.
I am so pumped. Just as a basketball fan for these playoffs, like I'm looking at all the matchups. If you care about basketball, if you don't care about the NBA, whatever, like I understand you wouldn't care. And you're just in it for the Cavs. Like, I am so excited about these playoffs and the storylines and the stuff that's at stake legacy-wise. Mm-hmm. And the Cavs are going to be a big part of it. They're going to win 50 games. Right now, I hope it's frozen where it is. Because if it's frozen like it is, this is a dream come true. You get the Raptors in the first round. You get Detroit in the second round. And they're going to be getting Cade Cunningham back, but what's that going to look like? And the last 2 times we played the Pistons, like, we are not afraid of them. And in fact, listening to Pistons fans, like, they don't want to see us either. Although it looks like they don't want to really see anybody. And then, you're going to be underdogs if it's Boston in the Eastern Conference Finals or, if it's the Knicks, could be a draw, could be either way. But the problem is the Knicks have lost 2 in a row after they had 7 straight. So they've lost 2 in a row. And you're 1.5 games. It's 1 in the loss column. You're 1.5 games back, although they, I believe, have the tiebreaker because then after that it would go to division. Yeah, they would have the tiebreaker, but I do not want to catch the Knicks. And you can listen to that and clip that, play it in the afternoons and say Lima's afraid of the second-round matchup. No, I just want the easiest matchup. Like, I think there's a difference there. I think we all have common sense.
But is it real if we just take the easiest matchup? That argument's going to be used against
you know
friend.
What? That's fine. Use it against me. I still would much rather play the Pistons in the second round, as would anybody, as would everybody in that Cavs building. So I think they need to do what they need to do, which is, okay, they got Utah. They're at Utah. They're looking to lose. You're looking to win, whatever. But
I was going to say, it's going to be hard. I can't believe you want us to lose, but this one's going to be a hard one to lose.
No, the next one is at the Lakers. We already know Jalen Tyson not making the road trip. Also, Dean Wade not making the road trip. I would throw, or at least only play your starters if you're still trying to get like rotations down, which you still can't because you're not healthy. I would throw the Lakers game. 100% would lose the Lakers game. I do not need to go to Los Angeles and win the Lakers game. And look, the Lakers are trying to win.
You don't want to beat LeBron and the Lakers?
No, zero desire. Does not matter. I think you now got to be strategic.
What if you lose tonight to the Utah Jazz?
Probably, honestly, would probably want. I'd take losing both. Be fine with me. I've already seen what when the Cavs have Jared Allen and Max Strus. I've already seen this offense is one of the best in the NBA.
I understand your logic.
And when they get Jared Allen, they're a totally different team defensively. I don't really need to risk injuries in any of these games down the stretch to prove anything to anybody. Yeah. In fact, if anything, the afternoon show should agree with me because they've said none of the wins matter down the stretch.
If they lose to
Utah, if you agree with me that none of the wins matter, then who cares if they're what kind of lineups they're trotting out?
If they lose to Utah, you're going to want to hide under the desk. You are really going down a primrose path here. The reaction anytime they lose if they lose to a good team,
they're going to beat Utah. So
okay.
I'm not really worried about it.
What I'm pointing out is if they lose to a good team, people get mad. If they lose to the Lakers tomorrow night, people are still going to be mad.
Night, remember, that's the second night of a back-to-back. So will you even play Max Strus or Jared Allen in that game
Probably
anyway?
Not. No.
So boom, guys, this is easy. This is an easy solution, and I think most people are with me. You guys absolutely want to make sure to avoid the Knicks or Boston until you actually have to play them. You don't have to play them until the Eastern Conference Finals, potentially. That's a win-win on all accounts. This is easy.
It's still... you're right. You're right.
I'm not looking to make my path harder. I don't think any smart team would do that.
You are right, but you give them an inch, you're going to take a mile. The haters of the game. What a weird year this has been. This has been bizarre.
Kenny,
it's been bizarre. There's like a weird group of Cavs fans who want this team to lose.
There is nothing the Cavs can do. Nick said it to satisfy Nick Wilson. There's nothing. He admitted it. He said
NBA Finals championship is the only way.
Oh, and you got to win every game by 30, apparently. So, because he just wants to be right instead of being a Cavs fan and a Cleveland fan. I am a Cavs fan.
Okay.
So I'd like them to win and go far in the playoffs and have fun during a very, very fun time of the year for me. Every year, whether the Cavs are good or bad, I love the NBA playoffs. I watch every night. It's like 90 nights of great basketball every night with the stakes as high as they are. So I'm excited. So the fact that I get the Cavs too and they get to be awesome, which they are when they're healthy, let's go. This could be fun.
60-second question before the end of the show. Is Chase Delauter the reason? Is he the reason we are 2-2?
Yes.
Chase Delauter's the reason we're 2-2?
Yeah, if they didn't have him on the team, they'd be 0-4.
Owen.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, I thought you were going to fight him on it. That's why I said it was a 60-second question at the end of the show.
Well, now it's a 30-second question.
Oh, well, fine.
That was not what happened. You heard something else.
And I'm sorry.
You turned it.
What did I hear? What happened. Okay, I'm sorry. Go ahead.
What was said was Jose Ramirez has done nothing.
Oh, yeah. Thank you very much. You're right. Yes, Chase Delauter has hit some really big hits, even yesterday, when he was the only one of two guys that got a base hit yesterday. However, he is right. Jose Ramirez, the game he was 1 for 5, obviously it was a very big 1 for 5. So I agree with Owen. Yeah. Sorry. Thank you for getting that correct.
But thank God for Delauter because Jose and Quan have done, okay, I'll say next to nothing. I mean, Jose's batting 125, and what's Quan at?
No, 235.
And he's not hitting the ball hard.
Yeah, I don't know, man.
I don't think he's getting that $30 million a year.
I kind of tiptoed around that whole thing with
Might
Derry.
have missed that one.
We kind of tiptoed around that whole thing with Derry. I know, like, Lotta's joining us on Wednesday. Like, we're going to have to... Do we have to have a conversation already about Steven? It's a little early, isn't it?
It's early.
But the people who are having that conversation, they're continuing it from last year.
Steven Kwan has always given you bat 400 right now, and then...
Right, then it goes south.
Maybe he's going to do it backwards this year.
That would be the best.
He's still in a Cleveland uniform.
Well, that means if he starts out terribly, then yeah, he's going to be a Cleveland Guardian.
Carlos Santana made a boatload and was a Cleveland Guardians favorite for having that same type of career every year. Can I compare Chase Delauter to... Oh, I'm kidding. Chase Delauter's Chase Delauter. Have a wonderful day. Go Guardians. Go Cavs. Hey, sounds good.
Where's your entourage now?
Cool, I got on the last show.
Oh, my.